button. Yes.
We're going live.
We are going live. We are
Well,
live.
technically we're now live. The button has officially been pressed. There's no going back. You have entered.
Thumbs up.
Welcome everybody to the third installment of Season 1 of CrossCodes, our Esper Genesis campaign, which is a D&D 5th edition based science fiction game. First thing I want to do is I want to thank the Adventure Game Store, which I neglected to do last week, and I want to make sure I don't do that again. We're very happy to be able to stream live from here, from the Yellow Room. It's a terrific place to set up and do the work. Brian Dalrymple, Glenn, all of them have been fantastic. We get in early. We have a little chance to set up all the equipment, and you've seen if you follow us on Instagram, you see some of the setup that we do. It's complicated and cool all at the same time. So when last we left our heroes from Matt Colville, it's a great line. There was a DNI, a handmade or hand manufactured DNI plugged into the back of the neck of our intrepid pilot Jack Crow, who at the moment I went in, I ended the session so that we could prepare for what happens next. So you plug in, and for a moment he goes still again like he did before and just kind of freezes in place, and his eyes start to roll back, and then he kind of comes to from it a moment later, and you see the ship around you, not with your eyes, but with your mind. And you can feel where things are. You know, you can understand where the controls are because they're right in front of you. You're seeing what would be a HUD, a heads-up display, except it's not visible to anyone else. And as you look at it, the AI speaks to you, and you know it's not verbal, it's not audio. And it says, manual controls?
Yes.
And you feel the ship start to shut down certain components. You feel the things starting to, lights start to go down, and you are seeing the ship in front of you, and you're seeing things start to shut down.
Oh, I think it worked. Can you hear me? Am I seeing out of both? Like, how many points of visualization do I have right now? Can I see it all, or I just
You can see.
the ship?
You can see, but it's like looking through a hologram of a ship around you.
Okay.
You can look back, and you see the ship back behind you as a hologram. Like, you can see through it, you can see parts, you can see whatever. It's very complicated, and you don't understand almost any of that. But it's sort of like looking at a schematic of an entire ship.
Okay. All right, well, in that case, how about back to automatic operation ship?
And you see a bunch of widgets in front of you start to light up, and lights start going on. You see a little area that says life support. You see another one that says system power, antimatter controls, like all kinds of stuff just start going back on. The ship is not in a position to be removed. There's too much mass still over the ship, and it's increasing with the storm.
Okay. All right, so
I think our hope was that by trying to interface with the ship, we would be able to potentially write it and then take the ship as a means of transportation to go. No, we already went to the temple to try to rescue Tusk Jr. Eddie.
Right.
So,
But we don't know quite where he is either.
we don't. But the ship played for us an audio file that allowed us to infer that he was potentially taken by some well-established and armed forces.
Probably not Corellian, the nearby.
Probably not that group, not
Probably not necessarily
that
that group,
Yeah.
but does not mean it was not a representative
Right.
sent by Corellian that could have potentially come from Mark.
Right. Okay.
So,
Or elsewhere.
Or elsewhere. But they came from that general direction, as far as we could tell, based on orientation of the sound.
But everything is west.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can
East
I
goes into
vocalize-
night side.
Can I vocalize through the ship speakers, just for fun?
Sure.
All right, so I talk to you through ship speakers and let you know. Well, it turns out we're not going to be able to lift off right now after all. And the storm is increasingly burying the ship. There's too much mass on it now.
You get a communication, Rafe, from Odessa. I'm sending assistance. It should be there in about an hour. We need to get that thing out because there's movement happening that is beyond us.
What kind of movement?
There are political factions starting to make moves on the find. So you need to get that thing out. I have something on its way to help you.
You
With
bring
that
some heavy
endeavor.
machinery to move this to move the ship.
It'll be there in an hour.
Okay.
You noted that was in an encrypted line.
What do we do for an hour? Presumably you don't tell us. Maybe you tell us this, or you don't tell us.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, what do we do for an hour? And is Tusk willing to wait an hour?
Yeah.
It would take him weeks to walk out.
Yeah.
So he's willing to wait an hour.
Because Kaylin's still here, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, using the Kaled to get all the way back to the nearest civilization would be Mark, which is,
A long distance.
yeah,
And
walking at that pace weeks.
So the ship is the fastest way to get there.
Mhm.
And do you? So I'm gonna. So Cal looks at Jack. And looks at the speakers. Looks up to Jack. Not sure where he should talk or address. Jack, I don't suppose you can fly this thing once we get it out, right? Are you able to understand it?
How far am I able to comprehend the actual controls?
You can comprehend the basic controls. There's a lot of controls that would take
Okay.
time to learn and understand. A lot of them you don't understand at all.
Okay. I think I could fly it with some proficiency.
You think it would be easiest to just do it at almost like a hovercraft than
Use the
flying
anti-gravity.
anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Which the anti-gravity would help with the hovering part.
All right.
You can drive it as a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. We can take that. We can take the vehicle to get Eddie, I guess. Maybe we should work on figuring out where they went.
Totally fair.
Are there any ship? Can we determine if there's anybody outside the ship besides us? Or are there any? Is there anyone approaching the vessel?
There's a creature outside the ship.
That's the
Kaled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides the Kaled.
About a mile away, there are people at a crashed ship site.
That's the other craft that's
At least we know the ship sensors can extend quite some space away.
mile is trivial in the economy that reaches the state.
And no one's resting upon us yet.
Yeah.
Again. So we'll wait an hour and
Okay.
keep an eye on whatever's going on outside in our meetings.
Okay.
And did we determine that we have no further access to like the room that had the core that was locked away and all that?
You have access to the room. You don't have access to the Sorium core. To the core itself, it's not giving you access.
Right. Still, though, even though we did.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And
Did the thing.
We did. Okay.
an hour later, almost to the second, you hear the rumblings of something outside. A ship is descending.
What do we see, either through portholes or through electronic?
Electronically, you can see there's some kind of a vehicle coming down from, it looks from straight above, straight ahead, on top.
From above?
Yes.
And it's big enough to pick this ship up that we're on?
It looks like it could handle it.
How, based on our interactions with this ship so far, and maybe what Jack can tell, how far advanced is the technology of this ship compared to our own, or is it of a similar?
It's too alien to understand all of that. And
is there any way for us to? Well, I guess we don't give a shit too much either.
is there a Wraith in the ship? You hear off the intercom. Can you come out? We need to set up to get the vehicle extracted. You may want to be out. You may want to get anyone else, any personnel, out of the vehicle when we do this.
Let's go. And let's take anything that we want to take with us also. Like,
Yeah, actually, during that hour, I would have tried to secure anything. Obviously, right, because I think the ship's going to reorient itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it-
We should strap down anything that can be strapped down. Like the land vehicle, we should probably. Yeah. It might even be worth it to take the land vehicle out, allow them to write it, and then drive it back in. And then
Okay. So you take the vehicle out. It takes you 10 or 15 minutes to get everything done, open it out. You have to kind of dig out the thing again because the sand keeps reburying things. So you have to redo that again. You get the vehicle out, and then you meet there's a guy who comes down. A vehicle lands next to where you were, and it's a big. It looks almost like a giant plate from the bottom. Above it, there's a lot more stuff, but this.
we see it from underneath that plate.
Yeah.
we need to try and hang it.
How you doing? I'm Corey Good. Honest asked me to come and help get this thing righted. Everyone's out.
We are.
All right.
We informed the computer that another vessel is going to be, grabbing it and writing it.
Computer,
It's an aggressive act or something.
don't be startled. There's another vessel that's going to attempt to right you and pull you out of the sand.
Understood. And from the outside, you see them. They actually start to pull these big chains, like massive chains that they start to. And all ships have these points of where you can hook things up. That's how they sometimes connect to stations when they're being worked on and stuff like that. They have to dig out a couple of areas to find them, but they, in any ship, they're pretty uniform where they're placed. So they have to kind of find their way around it, but they are able to dig. But they use these big blasters that blow the sand away with wind. And they blow it off the bottom of this thing. You can see the paint is scraped up a lot in a lot of places. And where it's scraped, you can see that brassy material. And they hook up to the toe points on two of them on one side of the ship. So you need to back away.
So this ship also has similar points on it where it can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
The universe stands. Clearly.
And the ship that they connect to, it lifts and floats above it. And then as it starts doing it, it starts pulling the ship like this, just kind of rolling it. While it's happening, you guys are far enough away, and sand keeps trying to bury it, but you hear an audible from something inside, and then you see one of the parts plunged down, and then the ship is righted. But there's a part that's obviously damaged from the inside.
It looks like there's something exploded inside, or was
Yes.
Exploded?
It sounded like an explosion inside.
And there was an explosion?
A small explosion inside.
Was there was one area that had very securely packed stuff, but I didn't think it was any of it explosive.
Computer.
Well, you're too far from it now.
yeah.
Yeah, you're not in it.
Well, I guess go up to the. Is the ship righted now?
Yes.
Okay, so we go up to the ship, go to the back
The
hatch.
tow chains start unraveling up into the ship,
Okay.
and the vehicle just leaves.
Okay. Go to the back
Straight up.
hatch, open the back hatch up. Hopefully this doesn't cause a backdraft and there's not a fire, but that was bad.
Let me show you what part looks like it went kerplunk. Since for the first time you can actually see the vehicle.
Ooh, this is exciting. This is first. We saw it here live.
I spread all my stuff out, and now I can't find the one thing I needed. It's not there. That was the stuff that I put there for you guys. Okay, put it over here. That's how I put it over here.
Ooh.
This is what the ship looked like through the barrier through the sand.
Oh, is that it, Scott?
That was it. There it is. So now you can see it. That's what it looks like.
Whoa,
Right.
that is super cool.
That is.
Look like a raptor.
So one of those stars was sticking out.
And one of the side areas is hanging limp, not able to hold it up on one side.
One of those landing spars? Like
Yes,
Oh.
which is what was sticking out of the ground.
Oh, no.
You know it's flyable, but you need to take it somewhere to get repaired to handle that.
Probably before anybody tries to take it out of the atmosphere, especially. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of a pterodactyl.
Yeah, right?
That's a
Me too.
That's very cool. And this, I assume, is not a style of vessel we've ever seen.
No.
That's super cool.
That's why I meant it was really long. Like, it's a long
Yeah.
ship, and when you were climbing down the sides, you were climbing in one of the side parts where the landing gear is attached. Part of the landing gear.
Well, I don't know how much we have to worry about Corellian anymore. This would have been kind of hard to miss on the wreckage of the other ship they jettisoned.
That especially because the vessel that dropped from the space station in orbit had been entirely
Salvaged.
kicked over.
Yeah.
Right. So they would have noticed that attached.
This obviously isn't a piece of it.
Right.
Yeah, that is
There
a
was-
ship.
That's no sense in which that fell off of the other ship. I would assume. That
So,
would,
yeah, that's not something that fell off.
That's-
I mean,
It could never be mistaken for something that fell off a ship.
once seen, it's like, well, there's
Be
another
careful.
claim. This makes her claim very difficult to.
We'll start
maintain.
immediately, well, I mean, I'm assuming that
We
the
hope.
ship is doing this also, but we'll start taking images and sending them back to Odyssey so he can see also.
Okay.
Careful. Lawyers are some of the worst creatures around. They will find a way.
Odyssey tells you you're going to need to get this thing hidden while it's worked on, just to get it out of sight and out of, keep it safe while whatever you need to do gets done.
Well, first we have something else that we need to do.
Where could we hide it? Kel asks Rave, since Rave's usually the most connected. You
Well,
got a
we need,
hanger?
at the moment, we needed to find Fang.
Eddie.
What's it?
Eddie.
Yeah.
Tusk Junior?
Little tusk.
Snaggletusk.
That's true.
Make me a an intelligence roll, Jack.
5.
All right.
Are we able? Have we opened the ship?
So the ship is now you can go into it normally if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
And there is
Find out what
normal.
blew up.
Yeah.
But you should probably put the vehicle back in.
Unless there's another ship available to us, we need this one at the moment to rescue Eddie, or to try to find Eddie.
Well, to try and find him,
Hmm.
we could probably hide somewhere on the night side fairly
We
easily.
could take it back to the temple.
I wonder
There's
if
a big bay in there.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
if the temple would open.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That
if
is
it's
my
open
concern
again,
as
but
well.
yeah, that's,
Well, we opened it ourselves, so.
Yeah, but then it closed after we placed the remains in.
Oh, you mean, yeah, because its purpose is closed.
Yeah,
You got it?
the opening will become unbarred, but it said unbarred, but we don't know what happened.
We also don't know what the opening is.
Rafe, make a wisdom check.
Easier said than done.
Yeah. Always is.
I made it.
What was your
You
value?
you vaguely
No,
remember.
Oh no, you have to roll and add your bonus.
I have no bonus. Right.
It's not roll under anymore.
I see. Okay. No, I did not make it then.
Okay.
It's a 10.
Well, it's a 10. He got a 10.
Depending on the right. The
Okay.
difficulty.
Yeah.
You vaguely remember a time when there was in Mark there were an old port that was built over. And although you've never been in there, Jack may have been. So there may be a place where you could kind of park it into a place where maybe it could be repaired. But you'd have to do some stealthy maneuverings to get parts in and things like that if that was possible.
Do you know are you familiar with the old port at Mark?
oh, of course. Yeah, yeah, that's a good place to take this.
I'm going to pull out my. Oh, sorry.
Oh, a lot of people here who are circumspect.
Circumstance would be good for this sort of operation.
So while they're discussing that, I'm going to conjure up my bonded companion that records things with video. Is it able to see the ship, like with a video camera?
It is not right now.
That might make it a little easier to hide. It can be picked up by automatic machines recording it. And stealth technology is okay.
That's working.
And does that function even where the paint's been scraped off?
Yeah,
So it's some feature of the.
yeah, it's not the paint.
That's handy.
We gotta avoid
Now that
actual visual contact.
now that we can see the whole ship and it has the same glyphs on the outside that were in the temple, if I look at it in the sim, what does it look like?
The ship,
Yeah.
you see it. You see the shape of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
not so much as outlines, but as odd characters, most of which you don't recognize. And oddly, it seems to go all through the ship, not just the outside.
Interesting.
Computer damage report. What? Computer explosion. Yeah.
One of the antimatter containment vessels has ruptured.
Oh.
Antimatter? That's not fun.
That's what's used for the anti-gravity.
Yeah, that's not fun.
And there's 2 on this ship. So it can fly. It will be hard to fly, but it can fly.
Jack, you can do it. Believe me.
All right. Well.
Can we repair it while we're traveling, or is there?
No,
We have to take it to the facility.
Well, you don't even
Well,
know
we
what
don't
you need
know.
yet.
It might be a little odd to get this fixed because.
But once you got to
is making a model.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know that once you get to Mark, other ships are available too. You don't have to use this ship. He's actually a pilot. He can get another ship if he needs to.
That's true.
So.
We have confidence in you.
Yeah. So first, we're going to try and go after Eddie.
Right. Does having the ship out of the sand help its sensors extend further? Like, is it able to determine where Eddie might be?
No.
Too far. They probably flew away.
And while you're in there, the air is lighter than normal, kind of like what you felt when it started to shut down the life support.
That's happening right now.
Yeah.
Hey,
Computer, status report on all systems.
And you see a run of a bunch of, and you can see that life support was damaged in the explosion, that the antimatter was damaged in the explosion. There was some landing gear that was damaged. There's some smaller functions that are also damaged that need repairs.
Antimatter is one thing. Life support is a whole different animal.
Can't you, just roll out the window or? Here. Like color, but maybe with this.
Yeah, in the sandstorm is the best place to do it too.
Computer current and consumption rates, how long should life support remain functional for normal operation?
Life support is currently non-functional. You are breathing the air that was already in place.
We want to hurry up.
Computer,
Yeah.
where are the life support systems located on the ship?
And it shows you a location that is towards the center of the ship at the back, above the hangar, which is also near where the explosion happened, the mount where the explosion happened for the antimatter.
How long would it take us to fly out of
The gray.
storm, the gray? I mean, if it's 10 minutes or something, then we can just get out of here quickly.
And it's longer than that,
Yeah.
especially because he has got to fly very carefully.
Right. So this is kind of something we would want to just, don't worry about it, we'll fix it later.
Yeah, we also don't want to just leave the ship here.
Right. So we might want to try and fix it.
Does it have automated repair systems?
Not that can handle this.
Okay.
Do we have the tools and resources to fix the permanent damage right now?
No.
I think our path is clear.
Looks like we're not taking a ship. We can take the rover. I don't think we're taking a ship.
Eugene, make me an intelligence check. Yeah, a perception check.
Well,
It was a 16.
kind of cocked, so.
Yeah, but it was a 16 to begin with.
Well, perception would be 20.
Too.
Intelligence would be also 20.
You remember going through all the material in the hangar bay, and there were spacesuits in there.
I was thinking, we could travel with breather masks. Well, we got
Or EVA suits.
Yeah, we could put those on.
Let's do that.
Kind of rely on life support.
With the extra 2.
Well, we were gonna play it up and I took socks and I stuffed the extra arm with the socks and just let it stick out. Really play it up. We come in peace. Take us to your leader.
Let's do that, yeah, let's go bust it out. Or if we have our own, can we have our own?
Tusk had some, but not enough for all you need. And while you're getting this stuff together, Tusk says, I got to step outside for a minute. I have someone here to watch my Caled. And he goes out, and you can see on the camera, he's like talking to someone. And there's another Caled there. And you see him, what looks like a handoff of money, through the IDs.
By coincidence, it's Caleb mating season also. Working out different transactions.
Well, that one does look very pretty.
He's just studying out his Caleb. Little do we know, he's of the highest pedigree. Papers and everything.
Man of Tusk.
A little while later, he comes back into the ship. All right, I'm freed up from my obligations here for the time being.
Does he have any EVAs? Well, there's enough in the back, right?
Yeah, there's enough.
Well, then we get it. What was the speculation? They took Eddie to Mark?
They were heading in that direction.
Is there any, what other places would they take him?
Well,
You don't know who they are.
We don't know who.
well, even something like, even the most clandestine of things, of operations, do leave a trail of some sort. Feelers are put out for such things. So perhaps if we asked around discreetly, we might gather a trail.
Can the computer pick up the signature on anything related to the vehicle that was transporting Eddie, the transmission that it received?
It got it only when it got very close for a little bit, and then when it left, because all the sensors were buried in the sand and,
Did we
running
get
minimally.
any video on the people though? Only audio, right?
No, audio.
Audio. And they had obviously had access to the drones that were watching our firefight with Corellian's forces. So it probably is some team she dispatched.
Right, but we know they're the military style. So a team, there can't be that many teams that were dispatched to that area. So maybe going back to Mark and asking around.
You would assume that if we know Corellian is powerful enough to drop planes from space and be ruthless.
All right, so first, let's check this for a moment. What do we know about Eddie? What can we surmise about Eddie so far? We're not entirely sure where his loyalties are lying, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But he didn't seem not to go peacefully with these people.
Yes, point in his favor.
Unless they were people he was doing business with and they just decided to take him against his will.
Point against his favor.
Or he said, shoot me in the shoulder here, I'll survive that. We'll make it look like he took me forcefully.
Yeah, but would he know that the ship was able to record what was going on outdoors?
I don't know if he necessarily would.
He also wouldn't have known that we had locked him out.
I think you found that out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
No. Sorry.
And what did the recording say again? Can we listen to the recording again?
Sure. And you hear the people come down, and they don't really. You hear them talking in military style jargon to spread out, find him. They knew kind of where he was, and obviously they had some kind of sensors that they were tracking him. And Eddie fired a shot, and then everything went silent from him, and then he was taken away. He was taken down.
We also don't necessarily know that they were going for Eddie, specifically.
They could have been going for the ship and he was just the only one there.
We think that is the most likely outcome.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then they couldn't get into that, maybe.
Rafe, what exactly is the AIM Foundation's interest here?
I don't know. But they have wide-ranging interests in the planet itself, and this is very unusual.
Yeah.
And they also have their own agenda apropos of some of the other powers on the family, including the Dubois.
So for now, though, we're going to
And they have been political at each other's, against each other's odds politically for decades. You know that. And that's why you sided with them actually in the first place, was because they were opposed to some of the things that were happening that you weren't against. Now, they were not for the ship drops,
Right.
but in most other places, your family and theirs aligned.
They've checked some of the worst impulses of the Dubois over time. So if this vessel was going to go into anybody's hands, was going to get into anybody's hands, I feel safer it being theirs.
I feel safe with being ours.
I think we heard you say mine for a second.
Well, plug that strange thing. Yeah. So I guess the plan is to head to Mark for now.
Yes.
I believe so.
With the ship.
With the ship.
You wearing
Hovering.
hovering.
In our EVAs.
We can put boots on the ground and then search for any whereabouts of Tusk Jr.
Where are we going to put boots on the ground? Just stay with us.
Bang.
Sword points. Does it. Nice.
He winks.
I see.
They wink. Sorry.
We see what you did there.
All right, so I'll attempt to pilot it out in the direction of Old Port.
Okay. And you get control of the ship, and you feel the weight differential, how it is not getting the anti-gravity on one side, and you're having to adjust from the other side to make it kind of fly like that,
Okay.
which is very uncomfortable for everybody because you're kind of, it's like being on a tilt-a-wheel. So the gravity isn't feeling right, but it's flyable
And
with care.
Even if it needs more tilt, whatever I can do to lessen the stress on that last training bar.
And you get to sit in the seat, which when you sit, you feel stuck to it.
Oh, nice showing you.
It just feels like there's some kind of material that is made to keep you in the seat.
There, just
When you want.
like before. Yeah.
On this planet, it's called Velcro.
Futuristic.
And you're able to slowly, fly it very low. You keep it off the ground, obviously.
Yeah.
Enough off the ground that that's not an issue. I need my dice.
And I won't go straight west, or at least I'll try and avoid where their camp is as I'm heading out.
It's a scenic road.
It's always good to see more sand.
Next, let's take a left. I want to see another June. I guess. Yeah. It's not a better book, but
Fair.
I guess while we're in transit, the hours or a day or whatever it is, we should probably.
It's hours. It's not a whole day.
Okay. Well, then make sure nothing else is going to blow up on our ship, since everything got tumbled around, and then continue to check in on this days, weeks, months long process of trying to interpret this language. But of course, what Kelvin is most interested in is ultimately going to be the astrographic data. Where's the ship in, and how it interfaces with the crucibles.
Well, you're not able to extract that data yet because you don't understand enough of it. You're able to understand the data of it coming into the system and talking with that crucible enough to know that it was saying it's here.
But beyond.
No.
Just yes.
And who's most interested in writing and running and developing the AI for interfacing with whatever this language is?
Okay.
Someone would like to take a look at these strange energy weapons that are being used to make sure that one button is not pressed to self-detonate.
No. No. They don't have self-detonation buttons.
That's what we're trying to do.
You can verify.
It's a switch, the toggle.
Is there any way to ascertain why that antimatter container had an explosion, experienced an explosion?
Yeah, when it was righted, one of the posts was buckled under, and it stuck. A post went into the antimatter chamber, which is not a big item. It's very small. It's basically a magnetic container, and once it ruptured, the antimatter exploded.
So we'll try to secure the other container and make sure that something similar doesn't happen to it in the event of some kind of freak happening. And
Yeah.
we'll also try to cushion the existing one the one that's been damaged.
Well, the animator's gone. It's no longer a threat. You'll need new antimatter,
Where does it go?
but that
It touches matter
and it blows up. They explode. That's why the only thing contained it is magnetics, with nothing else in the chamber.
in an absolute vacuum.
Yeah. And one thing that you realize as you're flying is that the sorium that powers the ship is pretty heavily depleted. It's not gone, but it's low. And at some point, not too far in the future, you'll have to replace the sorium also, which is not an outrageous thing. It's costly, but it's not complicated.
While we're flying, I'm going to ask the computer if it understands the purge command that I found in the other core from the original show.
See if it answers you.
It's cool, it's
It is. You're not authorized to use those commands.
Oh, I don't want to use that. You see, I just want to understand that.
And there's no more conversation about it. After a while, you get to the port, and you know that you need to the old port. The port is actually built on a like a butte that looks over the lake Mark, which has a lake there. But the old port was built into the mountainside, so you have to fly into, and there's these holes that are just old port entrances, and they haven't been used in probably 50 years. The last time anyone used them at all, because everything's now above it. They don't need to have it built under the ground because the atmosphere is good here. But they were originally built when they were first terraforming the planet, and they didn't know the safety conditions yet. But
Is there anyone I need to contact? Let them know we're coming in.
well, you can get in without contacting anybody, but you can't get anything repaired without contacting someone.
Somebody has to go in there.
No, he can go. He can get in there.
Sure, right, but I mean, like, in other words, is the whole thing abandoned?
Yes, it's abandoned.
It's all abandoned, but
Yeah.
does that mean it's abandoned, or is,
It's not officially used.
gotcha.
Okay. So you get in, and there's no lights, so you need to turn lights on to see. Although you can see what the ship can understand. You can see the mechanics under here. And getting in is not particularly hard. They're not super deep. They're made to go in and out pretty quickly. It's not huge, so you have to go very, very slowly, just so you're not hitting things. It looked like it was made for pretty small vessels, shuttles for the most part. And for a shuttle it would be fine. The size would be fine, but this is bigger than a shuttle. And when you get in, there's these round landing areas, and around them there's just abandoned rooms that look over them. There's windows that look over them. There's no lights anywhere in here. There's a lot of you can see water damage where water's dripped down and stuff like that. All in here, rusted metal, like those. The beams, some of them are rusted, things like that.
I'll try and find those terribly colored.
Well, they're not cluttered. They look empty.
Oh,
For the most part, they're dusty. Obviously, there's dirt and dust that got in here, and no one's cleaning it. But they're not filled with garbage or anything.
The place is abandoned.
Yes, unused.
So, I guess Kel asked for finance. So, Jack, is this, I don't want to suggest that you had an intimate knowledge of this sort of thing. Was this the kind of place that, illicit shipments might come and go, or?
could be.
Okay, we should be careful.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea, because we don't know what anybody else is doing down here either. Assuming they're down here.
Yeah. So you get in and you land the craft. It lands very gently because I'm assuming you're super careful. And it lands very gently, and there's no power turned on though, so you're sitting in the dark.
Do we have, are there outside, there must be outer lights, right? External lights?
Yeah, to the ship, yeah.
There's also scanners. I would recommend scanning before turning lights on and alerting anyone over here.
Nobody heard the ship command, but yeah, we should scan to see if there are
Does
life forms out there.
Does the ship make a lot of noise when it's flying?
Not when it's flying, because it's flying almost completely with anti-gravity from the one thing, so it's.
silent.
But it has to use a little bit of thrust to keep moving forward. But when it lands, there's a lot of creaking from the damaged part.
Yeah, we were flying inside in the hallways, right?
Yeah.
So sound carries, it's.
Yeah, it's not silent.
Well, does the computer pick up anyone in the hangar room?
And it runs a scan for where it can see. It sees nothing. But you're inside a contained area.
Right.
Around it, there's these windows very high up that look down over into the bay.
So there might be rooms up there.
Yeah.
So what's around here? I'm gonna ask you. I'm assuming that you know a little bit about this, Scott.
Maybe a knowledge. Let me see your sheet. Let's see what you know. I would say maybe a lore check.
If you feel that, you can try a data.
I was about to make a joke like that. Oh, we got data check.
Oops.
7.
Yeah, no.
No
No
Take
idea.
that die.
Yeah, I know.
Chuck it across the room.
Normally
And
it
then
does
you
pretty
can
well.
throw
It's
my
not doing
dice
so well
out there,
tonight.
too.
Yeah, not doing so well tonight. Well, I mean, kind of the first part of it is to see if the power feeds are still alive.
Oh, for the hangar, like
Yeah.
go out and see if we can turn the lights on.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelvin doesn't really need it, but sure.
So I'll turn on whatever exterior lights on the ship I can and just pull it around.
You will need power to be able to repair.
That's true. We can go.
I mean, you can get power from the ship, but you can't get light, into the right directions without either the ship or some kind of external. You need external light, stuff like that.
So I guess we need to get the lights in this place, contact, which maybe Connor can help with, contact the mechanics who are willing to do this on the down low, which he has no contacts that can help with that. We need to, do we need to get Sorium pronto to refill fuel the ship? Or
No, not pronto, but you'll need it at some point.
But we will need
At some point.
Yeah.
yes.
So that's part of the repair. So
That's not going to be.
that might be. So Kelvin's like, so I suppose you might be able to help. You seem to know some people. I should.
Well, you need someone to assess what needs to be done too.
And to do it.
You need an engineer who knows what to
Sure.
ask, or not what to ask, what to look for.
We need an engineer who is intelligent enough
I
to.
mean, I can begin to it. I have proficiency in engineering ship systems, so
Okay.
I can give
I have
a
technology spaceships in my comments.
Yeah.
I also have an ID,
Yeah, what?
for the Shadow Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that temporary contact
Okay.
for a good mechanic.
Okay.
Shall I try and make a damage assessment so like I can itemize it?
You can try, sure.
I'm gonna go with this one today. Ooh, 18.
Hey.
All right, so with my engineering ability, 24.
You need an antimatter regulator. It doesn't look like any one you've ever seen. You need an antimatter containment vessel, which is basically a magnetic hold for the antimatter. You need the antimatter to be injected into the void that you create with it. You need a life support repair, which you could probably do, although it would be tough, but you think you might be able to.
Okay.
Or you can just pay someone else that knows what they're doing to do it. You need some repairs on the mechanical, on the mechanism that holds the landing gear properly in place. That's just a physical, like a heavy machine piece. And then eventually you need the sorium, some sorium to replace what's in there.
So an antimatter regulator that'll have to be custom made, an antimatter containment device, antimatter,
Custom made.
Yeah. Antimatter itself, life support repair. Which
You know that antimatter, they don't manufacture that on planet. That's done in space. They'll have to do that in space, and you'll have to bring it down.
bring it down, and then life support repair, which we might be able to do ourselves, and then mechanical repair and landing gear, and then maybe swimming later. Okay. Well, I think he's doing it for the next hours. I go walk around with the code.
Yeah, you're walking around it, assessing it. So what would make your roll, your check?
Now, what check is that?
Your dark sim check.
As a feature, it just says that I
Oh, okay.
possess a
All right.
Shadow ID.
Well, because of some of your activities in the past,
Okay.
you think that you know someone on in the Deep Wind that might be able to do that. There's Deep Wind Station out there, which is out near the Crucible, that might be able to. The Deep Wind is really disconnected from Freesis. The people there, even though they're legally regulated by Freesis, it's kind of the Wild West. They're more connected to the rest of the galaxy than they are to Freesis, because that's where the Crucible. That's the space station right near the Crucible. It's an asteroid-based space station. And there was a guy that you've worked with in the past. His name was Corey Good, Goode.
What would you do that name?
That was the guy who was picking up the ship. Is it a coincidence or is it?
No. Oh, I think I used the wrong name on him.
Oops.
Yeah, I did. Sorry. I did. I used the wrong name on him. Yeah, that was my bad. Sorry. Looked the wrong line.
So once we've got a full damage inventory, I'll give Corey a call.
And you don't get any response. That is hard to get in touch with.
Okay, so I'll leave a message that I've got a job, requires the manufacture of some specialty spacecraft parts. And discretion is advised.
We're looking to have some sort of machine metal constructed, some sort of, so we know, this guy has a machine shop basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a machine shop on the ship. Probably can't make anything big enough for this.
And it can't make this too complicated. It's for light work.
Well, this might be something that we want to let Odyssey know about. Rather than us trying to find somebody who can make something to work with alien technology. So I'm gonna text Odyssey and tell him the gist of that, that we have secured. Well, maybe I don't want to do that. I mean, how secure is my line?
It's encrypted, but you don't know if it's unencryptable or decipherable or breakable.
Let me look at your encrypted line and see how good the encryption is.
It's standard encryption.
Oh,
Find the drink first.
that's garbage.
You could break it.
I can break it when it's 5. That's 12. To just see if I can do him one better and give him a more secure line.
Yeah, you could do it. You don't have to roll for that.
Okay. So
You could set up new encryption for everyone if you wanted. That would be better.
So I'll do that.
And I'll send Odyssey a message that says that we've secured the ship, or we've secured the package temporarily, but there are some things that need attention on it that perhaps he might be able to provide someone with the proper outlet.
That's a suitably thing.
Yeah.
And you don't get a response immediately. You eventually get one. I understood the first part. I'm not exactly sure what you mean from the second. So. What about Eddie?
Oh, right, yeah, good call.
We do have to find it.
That's Tusk, obviously.
Right, sorry, we're worried about I'm just walking around with a clip. No. Eddie, we have a ship to repair. Come on, get your priorities straight. Sorry.
Our ship tool belt is not going to be enough to facilitate what needs to be done to put things in order.
Well, aren't we in the city? Isn't this where?
What's his name? I'm telling him.
Right.
I'm telling Odyssey.
Oh, to
He
Odyssey.
just wants to he didn't understand what I was saying. So, we have a tool belt, and that's about it. And then, back to what was
He responds, "I'm not sure how much I can help with that."
okay. Meanwhile,
Are either you two computer experts able to look in Esper Genesis to see ships going into the
Right, find out if we can track where Eddie, or if Eddie
that time.
I guess I could try and find a log of
Air traffic control.
yeah,
Arrivals.
just hack into the FAA.
God, that would be so. How would we verify which? What would we even be looking for?
Well, what we could
Maybe a
do.
time frame.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. Well, how far away were we? How long did it take us to get here? How long do we assume? I don't know what type of craft they were on.
This is even assuming that a Black Ops mercenary craft signals in.
Exactly. Like,
Well, to start, we rule it out.
we could rule it out. So, is there a time signature on the audio file that the computer captured?
Yeah, you know what happened.
And then based on that, when we extrapolate approximately when we would expect a ship would have arrived back in Mark, leaving from that.
Make me a
I'll ask
security check. See if you
I'll
can
ask
get in.
Jack to help me with security to get into the
Yes,
system.
the equivalent of the FAA
Got it.
system, which is no joke.
Okay, so it's hacking,
Yeah.
and because I am a master hacker, I get advantage anytime
Awesome.
I'm trying to break through encrypted.
Sweet.
Yeah. Wow, I rolled like hot garbage. I'm gonna throw these dice away.
That seems to be the
That seems to be the trend today.
Trend all around.
I am going to use my draw from the wheel. Draw from the wheel is a Eldori racial ability that allows me to re-roll.
Also known as the Eldori Mulligan.
Yeah, I get the Eldori mulligan.
Mulligan on that one.
Take my mulligan on that one. That's a natural.
Whoa!
20. There it is.
Nice.
There you go.
So that's a
worked.
25.
That was worth well.
The Eldori comes through.
25.
you're able to beat the encryption and the security systems on it and get in, and you're able to see the logs for the time frame you're looking at, whatever the window is, however many hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And the one thing that makes it complicated is there's a lot of ships that have been going back and forth to the freighter.
Yeah.
A lot.
Which is very similar trajectory, right?
Right. It's almost identical. It's close enough that it would be actually identical. But there's one ship that arrived unlogged back at Mark to a specific platform.
And I will make note of that platform number. And where is that located in I'll make note of it.
Right.
I'll be like, I'm not super familiar with Mark, but I think that this is where we have to go. And then I'll show.
Yeah, the spaceport
Exactly.
is above you, not the one you're in, is sprawling. Because there's a lot of places for, it's like, Miami Airport, except much, much bigger and spread out. So there's a lot of places it could be. But when it says specifically a landing bay, you know exactly where that is. The question is what's around that you have to deal with to get there.
So I'll show Rafe and Jack, because I'm not super familiar with Mark. And I'll say, it's in landing bay,
You know where that is.
whatever
Jack.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, Rafe doesn't know where it is. He's a user of the port, but not a.
Yeah. So I'll tell.
Am I familiar with that
Yeah.
area?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
you're familiar with the whole area. You've lived there your whole life and done it. So
So,
Guess
yeah,
that's
I know
all.
where it is.
So I guess we'd have to leave the ship here to go up there.
I would say that that's probably a safe bet.
So, do you think, I guess I'll ask the computer, what kind, now that you have been excavated from the sand, do you have the capacity to defend yourself should we leave for a little while and, hostile people come in and try to gain access?
I can go into lockdown.
Computer, activate. Well, I guess as we're leaving,
After you leave,
as we leave, I tell the computer to activate lockdown mode.
and it does, and it gets very dark around it.
Cool. You have turn on the flashlight.
Well, my keys.
alarm is already set. Let's go.
I told you to go to the bathroom 10 miles ago. Yeah.
It would be a pain to punch in the code again. We must leave.
Is there a way for you to establish some sort of link that if anyone tries to get into the ship while we're gone, you can receive an alert?
I don't know. Is that a function of the computer? Can I establish a remote link to the vessel?
You can try.
Okay.
You can hack it. Try it.
I have to try and hack the ship.
You need to try and inject code
Okay.
to do something.
Roll the dice that roll high.
Yeah. I've now included that die in this.
Good.
I will attempt to do so. Ooh, that's not good. That's an 11.
Okay.
The computer doesn't
You're not quite sure how to do it, and then your code injection gets blocked actively.
countermeasures.
Okay. Computer, I'm just attempting to establish a remote link with you.
And you feel you know that your communicator gets something injected into it.
Oh,
It is
Set.
you did it. There you go. Okay.
Her.
Well, can I attempt to make...
There's a list of commands that you can
Oh, now I have a bunch
request.
Of, a bunch of functions. And
Yes.
what are those?
And some of them are simple things like communicate intrusion, communicate, I don't want to say intrusion, access, attempts at access, life forms in the area of certain types, that kind of stuff.
Your Freesis Express was used. It's
So-
shop.
March Spaceport. If this was you, please disregard it.
Yeah. So I think I've established a link with the computer, but I don't think I did it on my terms.
Yeah. Much seems to be on our terms with that thing.
Nope.
So
As long as it's set up to let you know that anything's gonna, that's something you're trying to tamper with it. We can always deal with it trying to take over you if it has.
Fantastic.
Do not worry. We will not let you be taken
Without a fight.
without a fight. Probably.
Color me.
Okay, so I do whatever I have to do to set up that function so that the computer will send me some sort of notification. Like a checkbox.
Yep. Exactly. It's simple.
Enable.
You can receive video feeds and things
Cool.
like that, all that stuff.
Okay. Looks like we're going to the spaceport.
Better living through technology.
How do you get to the spaceport?
I guess we have to go through this whole spaceport.
Yeah, can
Yeah.
we access upstairs here?
Are there do you know of any access hatches?
Yeah, you
that
kind
go
of
up?
you know more or less, not from this particular place, but you think you know how to get there, ish.
Yeah, that way.
So we'll kind of walk along main mall lines, wherever the traffic was going when this thing was still open, and then try to find some access.
Yeah, everything goes inwards
Yeah.
and then up. So you need
I said, like, that's assuming that this is not now a dungeon delve to go through this old hangar bay before you get to a ladder and go up.
Ah, sounds like fun.
It does sound like fun.
so
Or an
you
entire civilization. That's
Of rat people
Yeah,
right
right.
exactly the Morlocks. The Morlocks of the under a spaceport.
Is this a hive of scum and villainy?
Mark, no, it's a political city.
What's the difference?
Wait a second there, pal.
So you I assume you have flashlights.
I have.
Some people
Okay.
do.
Need flashlights.
Or dark vision.
Who has dark vision? The three of you. The humans don't. Everyone else does. Okay. Does the flashlights affect your dark vision?
No. Actually, it makes it better.
Because it's more light, and then you have light vision.
It just improves it one step. So it goes
Okay.
from
All right.
we see everything dark and dim, and bright.
Okay. So you head to one of the multiple doors that seem to be maybe heading up to the control areas, controls above, and there's an elevator, and there's a stairway next to it. The elevator has no light on the buttons.
Come
Yeah.
just bang on that.
Yeah,
Oh,
doesn't work.
Come on. This thing takes forever. Oh, wait.
How about the stairway?
Yeah, it's locked. The door's locked.
I think we need pallets.
The door's locked.
Audio is good for you.
But it's physically locked. It's not like it's not an electronic lock.
Physically locked, meaning there's like
We
a
can break
padlock.
it.
No, there's like a lock in the door.
Can't hack it. Gotta pick it.
Plasma torch?
Well, let's
That's one way.
I'm gonna pull out the
What'll that do?
Try it.
Burn it whole straight into the lock.
And you see him pull out some weird tools you haven't seen before. Some funky ones.
Hey,
Oh no.
Oh, I don't think that's going to be natural.
Oh.
You cannot roll.
It usually works.
So the plasma torch comes out.
Yeah.
plasma torch comes out. I'm like,
What are you gonna do?
No, I was gonna say
Your lockpick melts.
I'll push push Jack aside for just gently. We may. Just boot to the door.
Do it.
Boots to the door.
don't throw me out the door.
1,
No.
2, 3. I know it's something terrible because nobody can roll anything good today.
14.
Oh, okay. You kick it hard enough that you think it broke part of the lock. You can probably just open it. Yeah, you open it. You're like, damn.
We are all rolling like hot garbage today.
And-
we apologize.
To the viewers. Hey, you handled 20 a minute ago.
That's fair.
I apologize.
They are all rolling like hot garbage today. We apologize.
It took you 3 rolls to get a natural 20, though.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
Hey, bad rolls make interesting situations.
When you do it and you open it, you hear some sound from somewhere inside.
Ooh.
Hello. We knocked. Well, I'll send my little bonded companion, my little brown. We'll go down, enter the stairwell, looking around for a moment.
Okay? You're at the bottom of the stairs and doesn't see anything. Is he going to go up the stairs and everything? Okay, you go up a flight, and there's a door that looks closed. I mean, you don't know if it's locked or not, and they can't tell. And then the stairs continue up.
I'll just keep it like one flight ahead of us. So that,
Okay?
just right.
Make me a perception roll.
I put my laptop away. I don't need it anymore. I don't want to go around.
19. 15. No, 15. 17.
Okay. Something swishes by your device. Something hits your device. And it slams against the wall. And you saw something move quickly
Something larger.
on what you think would be the 4th floor up.
So we've been slowly walking up.
Yes.
I'll alert everybody. Something's coming or something moving up one floor up. Just bang crash into my drone. My poor drone.
And through the drone you hear what sounds like a door close.
I went through the door, I think.
What was it? What exactly ran into the drone? It was
Something hit the drone.
so maybe somebody running past it, possibly.
Maybe.
Or okay. And this was on the floor above us.
Yeah, you're on the 3rd flight right now, and on the 4th.
Were we able to hear the doors closing ourselves without the benefit of the room?
Yeah, you could hear it very quietly,
Quietly.
and it was purposely quiet.
I
It
see.
sounded like
I see. So,
Morlocks.
I'm gonna sling one of those energy rifles. That,
Okay.
utility does. And
Soren starts loosening his neck up, his shoulder.
Not us. No.
Finally sensing the air in the room. We will lead.
Aha!
And
Okay.
gets out his shock maul and collapsible riot shield.
Okay.
Begins going point.
Okay. You head up ahead of everyone else, and you get up to the 4th floor.
I'll be behind you.
What are you doing with your drone? You bring it back, or are you just going to leave it, have it stay there?
Sit there for a minute because I'm coming to
Okay.
it.
Is it still alive?
Oh yeah, it was hit, and it hit the wall.
They
But it's,
usually have like 1 hit point.
Well, actually, I don't know what the stat is. Actually, I need to look it up.
Can I grab you?
yep.
They still don't have the new printing yet.
Coming soon. Printing number 2.
Yeah. Let me know if it has 1 hit point, because that will determine some things.
Yeah, I think it's destroyed. Appendix B.
What do you call it? Your bonded companion?
That's it's fine familiar.
Does it come with a certificate of authenticity?
That's right. It's
Bonded.
Lived in culture.
Right, you gotta go to the town clerk to become bonded with your companion.
Exactly. Nice.
Only in 48 systems.
Right.
Oh, that's right. I had to
Bonded
build
there's
with 2
bonded.
hit points.
2, yeah.
Nice.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone?
Yeah, it's damaged.
I'd have to fix it.
You got smashed against the wall.
Yeah.
Aw.
It's off. It's off. I am sorry. Oh no, I'm wrong. Oh no, I'll have to look it up. Yeah.
While you're looking it up,
Oh, it's right
you
there.
get up to the
Top left.
Top left.
to the door, and you see the device on the ground, but you're at the door, and there's no windows or anything, but this is the last flight. This is the highest level that this stairway goes.
Floor 4 is?
Floor 4.
I pick up the drone companion and put it's down, right?
Yeah.
And put it in my pack for
I'm right behind you.
oh, and a bucket line passing it down to him. I motion to Wraith and open the door.
Okay. It's unlocked. Open it fast or slow, or how are you doing it?
Open it fast.
Okay. Make me a. Do you have athletics?
I do have athletics.
An athletics roll.
I also have proficiency in that. The trend of rolling hot garbage continues.
Okay.
9.
Okay. And you hear, and a whole bunch of little needles go splattering all over the door, and a bunch of needles splatter against the door and just shatter all over the place. And your shield gets hit by a bunch of these little needles and break in front of you.
And where did the needles come from?
A needler gun. They're a common weapon amongst.
Yeah, I have a needler.
Yeah. Yeah. They're good against things that aren't shielded, like flesh. And they're not ballistic, so you don't see like a gunfire spot. But the room is dark. You can see in the room dimly, but you also see that there's glass windows that in the at the end of the room that kind of look into a black area behind it, but you can see there's glass in there. Your shield actually probably has the most glow of anything that is there now anyway.
And
Initiative?
yes, I suppose. That's what I was going to ask. Is there any more to find, or is it just
Ooh.
If you don't mind.
Sure, 16. There's my 3.
19.
Rafe, 19?
19.
Nice. Soren,
Yeah.
10?
10. Jack,
7.
Eugene?
6.
6. And Jake?
17.
Okay, Rafe.
I'm gonna unload this energy rifle
Okay.
into the room. 17.
Okay. It hits something. You see it hit what looks like something like what his shield does when it took a hit. It like glows for a moment, and then do your damage.
What did we say the damage on this?
A D10.
8. Boom.
Nice. Normally you can add
You got your dex modifier.
11.
Even better.
You see somebody fall in the room.
Good.
Wait! And
Throw down your weapons and come out
you
now.
hear like a clunk, 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 and someone throws something down.
Hands up. And come out slowly.
And you see somebody coming out, coming towards you.
Well, you must see this guy first. You must see this guy.
You see him first, and you see this guy come out of the shadow that was kind of in the corner of the room, backed away. And before he came out, he threw down his what looked like a needler pistol.
I make a motion that he's disarmed. Like, he is disarmed. Step forward.
Can I tend to my friend?
No, come out. Hands up.
And he walks out, hands up. And there's a human there, and looks kind of scruffy and dirty and thin, not particularly well nourished. Kind of walks out into what little light there is there. I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna, do what you did.
So you check me
Yeah,
out.
I'll go. Who's your friend? Flashlight my way in there.
That was my wife.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, well, I will cautiously go, like, over there and see, is there somebody laying down?
Yes.
Can it be healed or
Yeah, I'll go right over to them, they look all
They look like they're barely alive.
Ooh. Can anyone help?
I'll put up my gun.
Okay.
You live here?
In the place, yes.
Does anybody have any out of games? Does anybody have any ability to help
Medicine.
Maybe we can stabilize.
Maybe we can stabilize her with a.
Oh, yeah, it's like, oh, there's a big hole.
Anyone can with a medicine.
Okay.
You can stabilize.
Well, if all things being equal, we will go over and attempt to apply rudimentary triage first aid.
Okay. Do it. Roll it. Natural 20.
You have a plus one.
Yeah.
better than me?
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
11.
Yes. Maybe. No.
You stabilize her, but she's not going to get any better from that. She's still unconscious. But, well, the good thing about the blaster is it kind of sears the wound.
I was going to say, cauterizes, right?
It's not going to bleed out.
We're heading up to the space port. There's obviously there's medical facilities up there. Do you want to come up? With us?
I can't go up there.
Why?
We're not allowed to be up there.
Tell me why. I mean, can I do it? Why? I understand why.
You don't really know why.
Why not?
I'm an illegal. And you know that all through Mark, there's all kinds of. It's like England now. There's like face recognition cameras everywhere and all kinds of stuff.
So these are people that stowed on board vessels or whatever and stay here. Is that who would constitute somebody who's quote unquote illegal?
Criminals would be one. People who've maybe drop from space, from orbit, without going through customs. The usual things.
We have business up top side. If you want, we'll take your wife with us. Well, we have to. We're going to take your wife with us to make sure she gets care. You can come with us.
How are you going to get her care? You can get her into the hospital. I'll go to. I can get you to the surface, but I can't go out, or I'll be arrested too.
Get us to the surface, and I'll make sure that she gets medical attention.
Okay.
Is there anything over the counter that might help?
Yeah, could we bring
No.
That's
Face vaccines?
Medical tricorder.
No.
Spray on the flush.
Not that you have.
Okay.
Silly flesh.
We could do like a CVS run.
Yeah. It really won't help this. It's kind of like a hole in the side of her body.
blow up my CBS registered tape.
Reaches to the moon.
We got you a single bottle of aspirin. Here's the receipt.
That's a great coupon, though.
Ooh, we can get a survey.
Oh, I can get my feet straight.
Carry around.
So, tell her, like, yee. They don't like the sight of the blood so much.
Good, there's no blood. It's cauterized. It's more or less a hole.
So now that we're ostensibly no danger or less danger, put away the shield of them all.
You shouldn't put your shield away. You shouldn't put that away.
What else is down here?
We're not the only people who live down here.
Is everybody hostile? Is there a constant state of warfare going on down here?
Well, no, but if they see you coming in and they don't know who you are,
Why did you shoot at us?
I thought you would be doing. I thought you might have been the officials. The law.
They come down here. They
Every
raid
now and
these
then,
cameras?
yeah. And we have to make sure that we're not found.
Why are you here illegally?
Well, we came from the near wine during the last bloom, and it subsided. There was no money. We came here to get work, but we dropped illegally.
And what is that? The near one? What is
That's the asteroid belt, the nearer one. There's
What?
the near wind and the far wind, or the deep wind. I mean, and they're asteroid belts.
Okay.
And a lot of people come to the system during blooms, and blooms is when there's material that is like rare minerals that are found, and suddenly there's this like gold rush. And a lot of people come here. A lot of people get stuck here. They don't find anything. They go broke, and they get stuck in system until the next bloom or forever. And they'll drop illegally because the planet isn't necessarily going to take anybody with a criminal record or things like that. And it's actually easier to live on planet for food and stuff than in space with a criminal record that when you're unwanted.
Makes sense. Is there someone who can carry her? Shall I?
I could, if it's trouble, I can create a floating disc for us.
Oh, I would help.
How much weight will it hold? I know you can walk on it. Yeah.
Yeah. We do not want to sacrifice tactical efficiency if possible.
Oh, that's pretty good. Just got a translucent disc appeared. Sit around it. It floats around behind us. Hovers.
From in here, you can tell that this is like the windows that were wrapped around that would look down into the bay. You can't see the ship, but you know that that's where you are.
What is your name
I'm Corrigan.
and your wife?
Mrs. Corrigan.
She's Sandy.
We're sorry this happened. I'll make sure that she gets the best care that that she can when we get topside.
Thank you. I apologize for shooting on you, but I was just trying to protect her.
Understandable response.
So how far below are we from where we need to be?
Well, you're on the 4th floor from the bottom. You've got 12 more to get up.
Oh, that's it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can lead the way. Hopefully we won't encounter any...
And we'll be very vigilant, making sure that we don't, well, we won't, yeah, we'll try not to let anybody else get a drop on us.
Okay. And you go, he walks you through a different door on the other side of the room that goes deeper into the facility. This stairway you went up was just to this room so they get from the control room to the ship. That's it. Going to the top, and there were other floors you could go. And he starts walking you through, and it looks like the whole thing is built like a bicycle wheel, like all the spokes lead into the center, and that's where all the transportation is to the top side. But there's all kinds of stuff in between. There's facilities for food and all that, medical facilities. None of it is, there's nothing in any of them.
Right, they're just empty. They're,
Right.
So
But there are, but you
kiosks or
do,
whatever.
as you start moving, you start seeing things like bed rolls, old, like food stores that have just, food that is probably already gone, like cans and in tubes and stuff that have been used. And there's definitely signs of people living in here. And the people with dark vision every now and then catches somebody move away in the dark. And Corrigan is like, to anybody that he sees,
He's waving them off.
yeah.
He's like, go try it. Everyone's like, where's your wife? And we're like, meh.
Yeah.
In theory, our ship has a med bay.
That's what?
Has a med bay.
Do we know how to use it?
It has a scanner in it.
Yeah, but...
We don't know that it'll work on terrestrial life forms or whatever alien race these people are, but
You've never used it for anything.
we've never used it.
We think our chances are better served topside.
Yeah, we're headed that way later anyway. Yeah, good point. Good point.
My concern is that we get her topside, we're walking and we're escorting her to some form of medical facility. Her face gets scanned. She's denoted as an illegal, and now we are complicit in aiding and abetting the criminal.
Well, that's not going to be the case. We're not. We're not, though.
Are we illegal? We're not.
No, we're
No.
not. But
You're not legally.
very well could be.
Yeah.
So then Cal says, oh, that's a good point. Fishes in his bag, pulls out a spare shirt, lays it on her face.
It's a plastic shirt.
No, that's the
And she suffocates. Problem solved. Depends upon how you view problem solving.
I removed the obstacle.
We're getting near the transportation hub. It's a big area, and I can't guarantee nobody will take action. So you should be,
Vigilant.
yes.
It's talking about it's talking about the locals, not the people.
Right, the locals down here.
Right.
In the transportation hub, that's where you can get up.
Well, let's continue to proceed then with caution.
That's all we can do.
And you get to the end of a hall, and it opens up into a bigger area that's wide enough that you don't see the other side.
That's big.
You see what, 60 feet?
90 feet.
Oh, 90. You see the other side.
Okay.
You all see 90 feet?
I haven't
Just you.
improved our vision.
Notice.
The 60s don't see the other side, the 90 sees it.
Wow. This is big.
Where to now, boss?
And there are, out in there are pieces of wood that are standing for whatever reason. Metal shields. It almost looks like someone made it like a maze.
Okay.
And you can kind of see like where you're at. It just goes to a certain distance and then it like splits or turns or something. They did this to make it where they could corner and trap anyone who comes down to try and get them in ways that they can leave without being seen so easily. That's what I mean. I don't know what's going to happen in here. You have to be careful here.
We do not like this.
Yeah, it's all very makeshift.
Right.
It's a roughshod labyrinth. When the guy was in the labyrinth once, that looked a lot like this.
I would set my fucking companion, but somebody wrapped it up.
He doesn't know what he doesn't have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
He can't fly, he can't, he's completely inoperable.
Yeah,
He's completely inoperable.
yeah, I'll need to spend a short rest or whatever. Re-summoning.
Yeah.
Resetting it.
Resetting.
Maybe minor repairs, yeah.
I can't do that right now.
Take it about an hour.
Once more into the breach, I suppose. And
There's no help for it, there's nothing to do. We can't.
Yeah, we gotta be,
We gotta go.
without aerial support, we must continue on.
Yep. So press on. Do the main thing, because there's no way around it. So we
I know that,
Like,
he said he couldn't guarantee our safety, but does that mean he's not coming with us?
I'm coming with you to get you to the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys wipe with us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make, can I make a perception check for any danger?
Yes.
Obviously walking into the labyrinth is probably not the safest thing, but walking into makeshift spikes would not be safe either.
You hear some shuffling somewhere around you, at least around the corner maybe, or nearby the corner that you're about to hit.
Quietly in the corner. Somebody there. Be ready. Turn the corner.
And as you get to the corner, make me another perception check.
Okay. 18, 19, 20, 21.
Okay. At the corner, you see that the labyrinth makes this turn, and then it turns back. And at that spot, you see there's a little sliver of that opens up to somewhere else. Not big enough for anyone to get through.
Like an arrow slit.
Right, like an arrow slit.
Point at the sliver.
And where is it at what level is it?
It's all this. You're on the 4th floor still.
But I'm saying this sliver, so the slot where.
Yeah, there's these makeshift walls,
Right.
and there's a spot where it turns and comes back. It doubles back in the same direction, just with walls between it.
Mm-hmm.
And at that corner, there's some kind of an opening between two of the walls.
Right. It's a juncture where like somebody put two
Yes.
things together.
And they left a little bit of an opening.
Right.
A makeshift murder hole.
I will get clever, and I will take a flashlight, turn it on, and use tricky fingers, which is basically me again, to hold the flashlight out in 10 to 15 feet in front of him and walk it through the maze. If someone's going to jump out or attack, they're going to attack a flashlight that's looking there.
Yeah. And when you hit that corner, you hear a needler pistol or a needler weapon fire at the hand and the flashlight area. And let's see if it even hits. The flashlight gets missed. The hand goes through the hand. And then you hear footsteps running.
Running away.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the most clever tactic.
Does this may seem like confusing enough that we could get lost in it, or is it not that complicated?
It looks like it's made more to
Confuse you.
do some damage when they can, and then find ways to get away quickly so that they can scurry.
So it doesn't kill her, doesn't like map it.
Yeah, it's
No, you don't need to map it.
Like deter any corporal cops from coming down to clean out.
Yeah, make it not worth the effort.
Like one officer takes a bolt to the leg. Like, okay, back up.
The Morgan design in Walking Dead, you know, where he's gone
Yeah.
batshit crazy.
Yes, exactly. That's what this kind of thing is. As you turn the corner, though, after that happens, you realize there's a big hole in the floor.
There's a hole in the.
Yes.
Is
And
it a crater? Like, what?
it looks like maybe an elevator shaft or something that was broken. Like the walls are dismantled from around it.
Could we jump over it? How far is it?
It's a 10 by 10. And in the bottom of it, there's all kinds of glass and broken shards of metal. You know, the idea you could tell it's a pit trap, and you use the gun to try and make you turn and run, and then it's yeah.
Carefully, you get lockjaw.
Over there.
Better with a little bit of tetanus.
I'm gonna go first, and then you can grab us if we miss our turn.
We will catch you, probably.
I trust you.
Do you want to make an athletics roll?
Yeah. Just don't roll a 1.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah, I'm good.
2.
Not a 1.
16.
Yeah, you get across it, no problem. You're across. Anyone else have athletics?
I mean, everyone does.
I think everyone has some.
I'm
And proficient,
with it.
you get across pretty easily unless you roll a 1.
Not a 1. It's a 4.
Wasn't one.
Yeah, you get across.
Acrobatics.
Go out.
Acrobatics will get you across. Just don't roll a 1. And then the nerds.
I know, without I'm thinking hold his hand out to catch. So maybe
Yeah.
you can give me a chance or advantage.
Do not be afraid. We have you. There is very little to be afraid of.
Very little. That's the part to be afraid of. It's
How did I roll
cocked.
that?
Actually cocked.
It's cocked, right?
It's cocked.
Between
Can
the
you
1 and
stand?
19.
It's more of a.
Well, I do, if I've got help, maybe that counts as advantage.
I
Yeah,
will
I'll give you
roll
an
an athletics
advantage.
to catch my
Okay,
NPC
roll
friend.
roll it.
I got a 14 on
Better.
the one. Other one.
Nice.
That's
Oh, I'm so afraid of this.
hilarious.
So afraid of this.
Take a photo of that.
I'm making a running jump.
I got a 9.
Okay. So he hits the edge and he starts falling back, and then he rolls to grab you, and you don't quite grab him, but he does grab
He
you
grabs on, he holds on.
on your arm.
Yeah.
You're
Looking out.
We did not think you felt this way about us.
at the moment, yes, very good about you. Get me up on solid land.
Do not worry. We will catch you just like we caught him.
That is immeasurably.
Covers in the
Comforting.
back, kissing the ground.
Oh, that's a 15
There you go.
on the die. That's a 15. No plus.
And Tusk goes to jump, and he is on the edge.
What?
Yeah.
Reach down.
So you have to pull him up.
Pick up
He almost
Tusk.
did make it.
Reach down and pick up Tusk by the scrum of his shirt.
And what do you do with the woman?
Oh, it's a floating disc.
You float her across, I assume.
Ah!
We could have all done it.
You could have all done
Yeah. Actually, I can create 3 of them.
We
With the spell.
You
All right.
rascally rabbit. How long does that spell last?
Oh, that's a good
the
question.
hindsight dawns on Sora.
Sorry,
We are not clever beings, are we?
No.
You turn the corner again. You can hear all over the place. You hear quiet footsteps. Some coming, some going. You're not sure if they're actually coming and going all the time, or if
No.
it's echoing some way through here.
Is this the unfortunate part where we find out the spell only lasts like a minute?
It lasts 10 minutes. So it probably got us. No,
No, it's been too long. You had to start
I
carrying
had
it.
to cast it. That's alright. I can cast it 4 times. So. couple more points.
Or you can just throw her.
Yeah, we should go ready.
Catch her.
Fastball special.
Dragger.
Drag her across.
I'll float her across again. I won't be just carrying her all the time, doing it all the time. But across this
If
spike.
all of you had a 10-foot pole, you can make a little thing slide her across.
I've got
But
one collapsible pole.
Or we could just tie her to the 10-foot pole and carry her between us.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Ankles, right?
Yeah.
you get
Creative problems require
Save your
creative
spell.
solutions.
so, yeah.
I'm gonna continue to like have the flashlight going.
Yeah. You make another turn, and it opens up to a large area that maybe 30 or 40 feet in. You see the ends of elevators, the doorways, a bunch of elevators, like a long row of them.
Do they look like a
I was about to say,
There's no power there.
I turned to
The stairways at the end,
wonderful.
and ones with the dark vision can see that some of the elevator doors are open, some are closed.
I take the flashlight and move it down the hall in front of the elevator.
Yeah.
Toward the stairs.
Towards the stairs.
And it doesn't get fired at anymore, but you do hear people steps back away from things when they see the light coming, things like that.
We'll get a flashlight. Alright, well, let's, I guess we'll try to follow it, yeah?
yeah, make my way.
Okay.
I'll take another perception, just as long as
Make a
we're-
perception roll. Check. As you start walking out there, you see that there's some place where the labyrinth opens up in multiple places, all aiming at the elevator shafts, from different angles. And it seems an unsafe thing to cross that area.
We are we are about to cross into a kill box very quickly.
Do we need to try to parlay with these people? or-
We've been considering that option.
Probably a good idea.
If anyone else wishes to, otherwise we will take the responsibility.
What describe this again? Describe
We have the wall with the elevators,
Yeah.
and then there's a whole bunch of openings to the labyrinth at different angles, all facing into where the elevators open. And at the end of it is the stairway
And some of the
at the far end.
and some of the elevators are also open. So it's
Yeah.
like we walk down a hallway with a bunch of openings facing that hallway.
We don't see any people.
No.
We heard.
But you've
moving along
heard-
in the darkness.
You've heard people walking, running and stuff quietly, as quiet as they could do it, but there's enough noise in here that you can tell if you're being quiet that there's people
Gotcha.
moving about.
Create a bit of a distraction, but, a visual distraction, an illusion, but I promise
Do we
we'll
want
try
to,
through it.
do we want to try and rely on the good graces of these underdenizens?
We'll ask Corrigan. Does it make any sense to try to parlay with these people?
If they don't think you're officials, maybe. But if they think you're here to,
Arrest them or
Right. then there's no chance of parlaying with them.
We can try to identify ourselves as not officials and, I don't know, see if they want to do a trade, bribe.
Why don't we take a break here, real quick?
The
Bathroom.
yes.
Make it sad.
And we are back. From last we left, they were staring down an interesting predicament as far as risk reward. Are you bumping all the cameras?
During the intermission, you bump
Okay.
every single camera. He like walks up to them like bump, bump, bump. It's like a cat. You know, like a cat, and they just stare you in the face, and they just take the cup and knock it off you.
Yeah.
We're okay.
No, we're good. We're good. I can see what you mean, like, we're good. Scott, the camera somehow got better on you.
Perfect. I like it. Thank you. Nice bump.
I'm always thinking about the. He says
So-
we're about to go into this life-threatening situation.
So you're standing at this point looking into what was aptly called a kill box by Kel. It's dark in here. Your night vision helps. The flashlights help. But there's a lot of positions or angles that could be of risk, and you keep hearing people moving about within the place, and you've been warned that there's risk. You see the elevators across against one wall. Some of them are open, and at the far end you see the entrance to the stairwell without a door. By the way,
Just open.
yeah, the door is just off.
Never have I ever wished for a grenade more.
Attention, denizens of this port. We are on a mission of mercy here. We are not with official security or anyone of that sort. We are here attempting to transport this boot. What was your wife's name? What was your wife's name again? Sandy. To get medical care. We do not care about you, nor will we report you to anyone. We only wish to peacefully pass through. You will notice we have made no obvious hostile movements. Please let us pass through safely. Her life depends upon it.
And you don't hear any response. It's very quiet in here.
What's the distance we'd have to cover in the open, roughly?
To get to the elevators or all the way to the stairs?
All the way to the stairs. Like just how much distance we cover?
You could get there. How fast do you run? You're the fastest, I think.
Probably am the fastest. 30.
You can do it in 3 turns.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of movement.
Well, if you could run and then dash, you could do it in 2.
Yep.
You have to run, dash,
Yeah,
run.
60.
Yep.
Question. Of the people we have seen down here, I'm using people loosely as a term to be as inclusive as possible, what is the overwhelming makeup racially of the denizens of this?
Human.
Human?
Yeah.
Guess what humans can't do? See in the dark. How well lit is this area?
It's dark.
Okay, cool. Those of us with dark vision likely have a better chance of getting through if we do so without a flashlight.
You don't know that they're all. They may not all be human.
Entirely.
And they might have night vision technology. There might be a light they can turn on. But I like the idea. Still.
We have tried the diplomatic option, and it is unknown how successful it is. Do we have any contingencies? Otherwise, we will have to cross.
The
Can you just
option at force would be
Here's an option. Corrigan, how much do you want your wife to live?
We do not stand by this option.
I can send an illusion that's like looks like us.
What do you suggest?
I was gonna have him walk out there first.
We do not.
Why don't you ask that instead of?
Corrigan, how would you like to walk out there first?
We do not support this idea.
His eyes are just wide.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on a minute. So I gotta do one of these, and a little illusory group that looks just like us is standing there, and then I can use my action to make it move. So I'll make it all this concentrated activity has a range of.
Step back.
Yeah.
It's more than enough of them.
Do you want to hold it
How
that way?
accurate is it?
How what?
How accurate is it?
I think it's something that looks accurate unless they examine it and there's a dice roll.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is 60 feet range, so it won't be able to make it all the way, but I could take it 60 feet. Well, I could take it and then start walking 60 feet behind it. It can last up to 10 minutes. It can be
Well, we seek to walk through this hallway.
15-foot cube size, so we'd have to be relatively close, but the way I think we can all fit into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says it looks real unless people use their action to examine the image.
And then it's against the DC.
You could, in theory, make up to like 9 creatures. If it's
Against-
15 foot by 9 feet.
Against my number is 14, so that's an intelligence.
You have to concentrate.
Yeah.
Okay. And you see him create this group that looks more or less like you guys.
And then I'll make them walk, and you guys are all looking at it going, do I look like that when I walk? I don't think I look like that. But it's the gist.
Our jaw is quite square. We are very proud.
I can even make a little adjustment. Oh, sorry about that.
And it walks about halfway, and you hear a weapon fire, a needler, into the group, and you see someone else right after that run out with a blade of some kind. And then halfway to it, when it sees nothing happens from the needler, the person stops and starts backing away.
Oh, good, because we're at that point. We don't let him. Roll for initiative?
Roll for initiative.
That sounds like exactly the point where I shoot him in the face.
18, there we go.
Oh, that's not way out.
Alright,
21.
Okay, hold on. 21 for Ray.
Hi.
Soren,
Hello.
Sorry.
12.
Hey.
Jack,
Hi.
21.
Kel,
16.
Hi.
Alidus.
Hello. We are about to inflict bodily harm upon you.
I got a 5. Booty's got a 5.
Rafe goes first.
Hello.
8.
Yeah,
With that energy thing.
yeah. And you miss, and like eyes are so big when there's an energy weapon that rolls out.
But all these guys become pacifists the second you take a shot at them.
Yeah.
No, just back.
No offense,
This is one with a blade.
Everybody
Yeah.
changed it.
This is someone with a blade. It's someone with a knife.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. We started on him. Yeah, we all wish that we had the toughest weapon until we finally know.
Right.
We gave them fair
But
warning.
they're all peace lovers all of a sudden, you know?
All right, Jack.
Ooh,
Sorry, I lost that.
yeah, I'll pull out a rifle as well. Actually, just a needler. Are they even wearing armor? Apparently.
No. Well, that person was. You only saw one.
Okay.
You saw.
You're on it. Yeah. You're heavily overburdened.
Like one before he's active around, or
Yes.
yeah, that's so 25.
That'll hit.
Unfortunate for them.
Oh, 12.
Yeah. And that person drops.
You got with the knife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah! And you hear like some communication happening, like talking, like in the distance. But it's not loud enough for you to quite tell what they're saying, but there's definitely some nervous conversation.
Keep the illusion up.
Yeah.
Keep the illusion up. I mean, even if these people are gonna take swipe status, at least it's a decoy.
Kel.
Alright, so I will keep the illusion, but this time I'll use my action to make all of those people, the illusory people, look like they hit the deck, like they're still. Because
They're responding.
yeah, some of the people might still think
Okay.
that, right?
Yeah.
By illusion, so they're all hitting the deck and looking around the weapon. That's my action.
Nicely done.
Can you at least make us do like strike a pose?
Yeah, you guys form.
Soren.
You king sons of bitches.
I'm going to be the one guy that we saw was the one with the knife who just got dropped, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to scan the environment for any other targets. I'll make a perception.
Make perception roll.
Yeah. Blue dice. I haven't failed on that one yet.
Until now.
8, 9, 10.
You kind of know where the needler was fired from.
Okay.
It was down further past multiple entrances to the labyrinth area.
Funnel action. Again, we mean you no harm. Please, we do not want to hurt you. But we will.
And Aladis.
I will.
It takes you the entire turn to make that noise.
I will. I'm like, Aegis on myself. I put a deflectory.
Right, the shield. Okay. And it goes very quiet. And your illusion is still holding down and looking around.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous, but you know, we step out.
You have a shield. That energy shield will protect you from
I'll take half damage.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I have a reaction spell I can use if I really need it.
We will move briskly with purpose. Sword steps out.
Okay. And you step out, and nothing happens. You keep walking.
Yeah, keep walking.
Okay.
Let's take a line hand.
It's already a trap.
I whisper to Art, did you see?
Okay. Make me a perception roll. And you also, Soren.
18.
You hear some kind of commotion nearer to you than there was before. You hear someone behind you. Make me an athletics roll if you have it.
I can roll something. Okay, 14.
You get hit with something like a bar or a bat, and you take 4 points.
So I didn't see it.
You didn't, and it's from back around where you were. There's like corners all in there, and someone came out and hit and is apparently looking to back away now.
Concentration check.
And yep,
I'll do the
In the sea.
concentration check. So I made it. Yes, I rolled a 12, so I only needed a
Okay.
10. So, but I'm down half dead.
I will roll with you.
So yeah, I couldn't put
And-
up my shield because I didn't see it coming. But I shout like, yeah.
when that happens, you hear a needler weapon fire at you, and it misses from across the way. And then it sounds like it was a very quick burst, and then you hear footsteps moving again at where they were.
We should just run.
He's running time.
Well, if we made it halfway already, then we're like one run away.
Yep, you can make it in one run.
Where are these shots coming from?
From within the openings to the labyrinth. Nothing's coming from within the elevators. It's all from the labyrinth
As
areas.
we run, I mean, so we have to run past one of these openings?
A couple of them.
Can I take a shot in one of the openings as I'm running past?
Sure. Absolutely. You light it up.
There you go.
That's with Dex, right?
Yes.
So it's 22.
Yeah, you see someone trying to jump back as you start coming up, and you hit someone.
Sweet. 4 points.
I think that's not fair.
7 points.
Big difference. It's almost double.
Yep. That's almost down to 4. Not all the way. Not too bad. 7. Bad.
Yeah, it sucks.
This gives me a whole new perspective on the people that were in third class in Titanic. I understand. Go ahead, Curtis.
There was room on that door for 2 people.
On the door.
And you keep moving.
Yes.
And when you get to near the end, there's one more labyrinth opening, and you see someone back away, but it didn't look human.
Like,
A human didn't look human. I mean,
It's in the shadow, but it was not.
So it didn't look humanoid. In other words, the shadow didn't look like
Correct.
it was standing upright or
Well, it
whatever.
still looked like it was standing upright, but it didn't look like a human. It had appendages and things that a human wouldn't. I don't
I
mean
see.
like 4 arms. I mean just like.
I see.
I mean, the suits we're wearing have 4 arms.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yeah, not yours, yes.
Hang in there.
Oh my God, it's us.
Where?
I'm assuming you're not actually in the suit still.
I thought we took one.
What are we running towards? What exactly is
To
that
the stairway.
destination? The stairway.
Stairway.
Right.
We can get
You have
up.
to go up the other 12,
Right.
Can we still like
12 flights.
I just want to make sure I understood what the destination. Okay.
Does it look like the passage between us and the stairs is clear and safe? Or that?
Yeah, with that person backing away, it clears it. But that was the last one probably that had a shot from the side.
Let's hope they stay back away.
We are going to continue up.
Yeah, and I'm going to
Okay.
take some shots backwards, just in the
Okay.
to give us some
Okay.
cover as we
Yeah.
go up the stairs.
Yeah, you leave blast marks on all the labyrinth edges. Maybe one catches on fire if it's made of wood or something. Yeah, probably not wood. Plastic, maybe. And you all get to the stairs, one after another. The lady being floated the slowest behind you, I assume that doesn't move any faster than what you guys can move.
Probably no.
Well,
And you get to the opening.
Use her for cover.
well, it was not a pleasant experience, but we must admit we do admire their tactical efficiency with what they have.
Yeah, they really hit me really well with that pipe. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'll check him out to make sure he's not concussed.
Oh, he's bruised. No, it was in the side, in the body. But he's bruised. Pretty nasty.
I'm only half dead.
How many arms is on my spacesuit?
8.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Obviously, their brain is in the middle of their body because it's concussed from an abdomen hit.
Shall we continue our tour? The underport?
Yeah.
Got 12 more floors to go.
Before we leave, the illusion turns into a big middle finger.
The illusion fades out with the middle finger out.
Corrigan, what do we have to expect between this floor and...
You can go straight up now.
Oh, good.
This was the last place that would be a risk unless you decide to stop at any floor and go further in.
What would be on any of the other floors?
There could be people that are there. A scout potentially.
Probably not worth it.
You guys look over and Calvin has, that spell that guided disc can actually create 3 of those discs, so I created a second one just as part of the spell I'm laying.
Can these things go up?
They float.
They float like with me.
They float. So I'm saying we can go straight.
Yeah, they don't magically do it.
And
No.
these are stairs.
Yeah,
Right?
so-
Alright, so we go up.
Cardio time.
Yep.
Not to me.
And you head up the 12 flights. Every now, like a couple of times, like you sense or feel that you're being watched at 1 or 2 points, and a door will close as quiet as possible above, ahead of you a little bit.
Yeah.
A
And we
couple
look like
times.
we're on our guard with our, I have my rifle out.
Yeah.
Our weapons that to indicate that we're not too trifling with.
Yeah, and it looks like whoever they are are backing away in here. And you get up to 12 flights, and there's a doorway. And he goes, that leads into the maintenance area of the main spaceport. So at this point, I can't go with you, but you made a promise to get her
Yes.
medical help.
Oh, don't worry. We're going directly to medical help. I mean, look at this. This is awful.
Yeah, you're all black and you got hit.
You know the quote, friend.
No, it's even worse than usual.
Do we have an extra comment? We have to have some methodology to be able to get in touch with this guy.
Smoke signals.
What?
In facts.
Do we?
Yeah, they're very back behind. You know, they have faxes.
They have BlackBerry.
Yeah, do we have a spare copy?
Really BlackBerry.
Or trade? You can, like, does he have? Like,
He does not.
No, he doesn't
No,
have one of
you
those.
would totally get caught with that.
I have a spare Palm Pilot.
Yeah, those are totally trackable by the authorities, I'm sure.
What's the closest hospital on the first level?
Well, there's the med bay in the port, in the spaceport.
Okay, I mean, where would that be though?
Well, the spaceport's big. How close
I
it
mean, I
is?
have to find more than one medical.
Yeah, there are.
It's hugely big.
You would know where it is. You're not right on it, but you could get there.
So I just
10-minute walk.
I just want him to know where we're going to take his wife, so that when she's all right, when she well, I guess that doesn't really do much good. I'll make it so that your wife will get in touch with me when she's back to normal, and we'll make sure that she gets back to you. Okay.
We could bring her
Okay,
back to this
thank
point,
you.
this spot, in a day or something.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry for the trouble. Thanks for taking us topside. We wouldn't have made it
course.
without you.
Oh, good luck getting back to that labyrinth. Bye.
What do you want to maybe we can hear it? Not to shoot at anybody before you see who they are. Just put it out there. All right.
And you guys open the door. It's locked, but you have ways of getting through. Nothing.
Close that whole thing until it works.
There's degrees of breaking it
Of damage, right.
It's like these
If he has enough time,
forced entry plasma cutter.
he has enough time to pick it without any pressure. He will eventually pick it.
Ain't nothing wrong with this mission there, mate.
Another one.
Yeah.
There we go.
And when you get it open, you see you're in a what looks like some kind of maintenance area to heat ports. You know, there's all these tubes and stuff that carry heat out when ships land and all that from exhausts and stuff. And there's walkways, and it's all complicated walkways through the underbelly of the port, of the used port now.
I guess we need to get her to the med bay and then find our unlogged vessel, right?
Apparently it's supposed to be here, so I just started off personally to the exit.
Definitely supposed to be in the med bay.
You need us to carry you.
I'll just lay down here.
And you walk for a little bit, and you find a door out of this area that opens into the port area itself.
One overreacts.
You just a little. This is the first time you've ever been injured in combat.
You open the door, and the door that you're in says, personnel only, that kind of stuff. And you're like, we're in the wrong spot, obviously. Kel is thinking we're in the wrong area. We're not personnel. You get out, and as soon as you get out, you see that there's some people walking around doing stuff. It's an active port, and there are people going to places to get ships. There are people working, all of that.
Are there like coveralls?
You didn't see any.
So I think I'll just direct us straight to the med bay.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to walk down a ways, and then on the left-hand side, there's a medical facility.
I push past it like dead. Oh my goodness, look at this vertebrae.
You get there, and you open the door, and there's a person at a reception area. What can I help you with?
This woman needs is in critical
Oh,
condition.
oh,
She needs
bring her
emergency
in.
medical attention.
And she takes her in, and is she with you, or are you going to check her in? And she sets you down at another nurse comes out to take her in, look at her, examine what's happening, and takes her into a room. And a person starts checking the information, starts checking her in with the whatever information you supply.
Right.
What information do you supply?
I just say she was accidentally, there was a firearm, an energy discharge that she was in that she was injured by an unintentional energy discharge. And
She's blind, good.
huh?
She's blind. It's good you don't see the energy weapon over your shoulder.
Oh, well, I
This is an energy weapon. Religious artifact.
Everybody's got bad dice rolls tonight going on, even back here. And she takes the information, what do you say her name is and all that.
Mary Rogers.
Rogers. And how do you know her? Where did you find her? You said that she was injured. Were you with her when she was injured?
No. Oh, yes.
No, I mean, yes. Kind of. The technicality.
By the way, my rib really hurt.
And my friend here needed medical attention. So can I
I'll
give
get
you some
someone else.
information after they've been attended to?
Yeah, the nurse has already
okay.
taken the other one in. Now she'll call for another nurse who will come and take.
Yeah, that was an unintentional.
I'm gonna bring myself upstairs. I'm gonna say, oh, there's a water fountain, and mutter something and walk away.
I'd leave him there to answer all the questions.
Well, I hope that they'll treat you.
Give you the option for your lollipop. Please, give it 2 for me.
2 for you, 1 for me. Great.
Please.
I wash my 4 hands.
Your 4 hands.
They take you in and they put some kind of a compress on the injured area, and they tell you it'll heal up in about a day.
Oh, thank you. You have any lollipops?
We only have stickers.
Well, I'll need 2 extra then, for my friend.
How poorly is she dressed? Really bad?
Yeah, she's pretty
really
bad.
rags?
Raggedy. There's no questioning whether she is, at least homeless.
Yeah.
It doesn't verify criminality or anything, just homelessness.
Yeah, I guess for Cal, while he's being treated, we'll ask, is it common for people to do good Samaritan acts? They find somebody injured.
Sure.
We didn't know what the deal was. It's obvious.
It happens.
We're just so we don't get raped accused of employing.
No, but they want to know,
Yeah, I mean, I'm less concerned with her criminal status than that she gets treated.
Yeah.
That she doesn't die.
Yeah. And they take all the answers you have.
Yes.
Well, Cal just tried to make it no, we don't really know this person.
Yeah.
So you embellish his story.
Say what?
So you embellish
I embellished the story.
Rafe's story.
Yeah, just a little bit. So it's more.
Yeah, she was, she apparently came from a very long line of hemophiliacs.
Yeah.
Very,
It's all shaving.
Well, it's a good thing it was a burned hole, so it doesn't keep bleeding out of it. And you get treated, and
I'm bandaged.
and you are discharged.
I hand you 2 stickers.
The bandage will heal you in a day.
Maybe that. Sorry, no lollipops. They say
A slight look of disappointment when he places them on the chest. We will take what we can get. Such is life.
And you get out, and Tuss all right, we got to find where Eddie is now.
Yeah.
Now that all this silliness is done.
All right, well, we know basically where we're supposed to go, so.
Would that have counted as, how long did that take? An hour? Less?
You mean the whole fight, the firefight area?
The medical bag, like healing
Oh,
up.
probably an hour.
Could that count as a short rest?
No.
No.
You tried. I respect that.
A reasonable question.
Trying to get those hit points back.
Well, I'm also low on. I have that. I can, Esper recovery or whatever. Get spell stuff.
And where are you going from here?
To that landing bay, whatever the landing bay was.
Okay.
That,
You're going straight there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We think we should tread carefully there. We should not just burst in.
I mean, look at me. I'm very fragile right now.
That too.
I think we should just burst in.
So we'd be able to look like
You
this
were-
guy right here. We should at least take a look around the area before we do anything drastic, just to be sure.
Yeah, you have to take one of the trains to that part of the port. You know, they have these little trams all over there.
Where are we heading exactly?
We found when I hacked into the logs of ships that had come in and out of
Right.
the spaceport, that there was a ship that came in without logging a
Right,
number,
right.
and it parked in a spot.
So
But
we
it
know
was a
what the
specific
spot
spot,
is,
and we
right?
know exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what bay it is.
if the bay was like bay K78, we know exactly what the bay was.
okay.
We don't know whether she's still there or what.
Or whether it is the ship, but good chance.
But sometimes ships will come in and they'll get assigned a bay. This ship went specifically
So it's
to a
right.
bay,
Right.
like a pre-designated bay.
So you get in the tram. A few minutes later, you get to that area of the port, not to that particular bay, but it's like a big airport. So trams take you to areas. You get out, and then you can walk. And there's moving sidewalks everywhere, speed up your travel. And when you get over to that area, there's all these restaurants and bars and stuff
Can I
in the
find
area.
a maintenance or like surveillance or security office? Like if I see
Maintenance.
signs, okay. So like I want to try to find my way
Yeah.
to
No
like,
security
a
office.
maintenance room, and I'll just act like I work there.
Are you able to hack into the system and find out
That's what
who that bay belongs to?
I'm going to try and do that, and I'm also going to try and see if I can find any camera feeds that would overlook that bay for the time period at which that ship came in. So, I'll slink off to like a maintenance closet, or just like walk in, like I work there, no big deal.
Okay.
Is anyone in there?
Nope.
Is there a computer terminal in there?
Nope.
Okay. Am I able to remotely access the computer systems of this station through my...
Not from this room.
Got it.
I have to do it the old-fashioned way. Eyes out of the place.
Look, yeah.
Alright, we want to do that.
Okay. I come back out, I'm like, damn, no computer terminal.
How backwards?
And you can walk them around because you have port access all through this area. They follow you, and you get to the bay that it was supposed to be there, and through the window that is on the side of it, you can see there's no ship in it right now.
There's no ship in there. Wait. How did you tell that? How did you determine that?
You can see the bay. It's like looking out on planes, from an airport.
Yeah, but I mean, okay.
We're there now. We walk to the
Yeah,
gate.
so-
Yeah, we're looking out the terminal window.
Yep.
This is where it was delivered, so somebody could have met them, taken Eddie, and that ship could have left. Is there a log, like a local record?
That's what I want to see. Is there like a little, like similar to what you would see at an airport, where there's like a
Yep.
desk?
Yep.
Or is there,
And there is,
There is?
and there are people there. There's a person there, and you can see there's people, waiting for some kind of a ship, even a couple.
I'll walk up and just sort of like very casually, nonchalant, Hi, I was actually sent over here to get the logs from one of the last shuttles that had previously landed here. It'll only take a couple seconds. I just need to extract some of the data from this computer.
Do you have persuasion?
I do, and I'm very good at it.
Make a persuasion check.
That's a natural 20 for a 25.
She says, "Oh, have at it. Yeah, this flight won't be here for another hour anyway." So
Cool, sounds good. And
she sits back.
I totally know how to use this computer.
Yeah. So you go through it. At the time that you expected there to be a ship, it was somebody named Marcus Robertson that had logged in,
Okay.
and that ship left about 30 minutes after it arrived, and the destination was Portend.
And that's the other port.
The largest spaceport.
It's the largest city. It's 10 million people, and that spaceport's gigantic
Is there any
and less clean and beautiful than this one.
Is there any record of loading and unloading?
Yeah, am I able to get any record of any items loaded or unloaded, or am I able to get any record, aside from the fact that Marcus Robertson logged in, is there any way for me to get a record of who requested and rented that bay for that ship landed?
The ship itself was registered to the bay.
Got it. With no name attached to it?
Marcus Robertson.
Got it, okay. So that's our lead.
I mean, while Kel's standing here, he would ask
Rafe, make me a perception roll.
some of the people that are waiting for the next flight or whatever to come in, the next shuttle.
3, yeah.
Okay.
He'd ask if they had been here. Have you guys been here waiting long? Did you see the people, the previous shuttle? They're like waiting for the next shuttle, right?
No.
No.
How long ago was this shuttle?
Hours and hours. Like a day almost.
So they get a ship with the flying through,
Yeah.
fly it up.
And there have been other ships that have come and gone in that time.
So I tell the woman who's working in the gate desk, got everything that I need, thank you very much, I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Just walk away.
Comes back and starts.
I tell you guys, so it's like at the time in question, there was an individual by the name of Marcus Robertson who had requested and landed a vessel in this bay and then had departed from this bay to go to Port End. Was there a destination in Port End? Was there like sometimes when you take a flight, it'll say like departing out of gate D35 and arriving at gate A12. Was
Yes.
there?
Yeah.
Okay. So where?
There's a specific bay in Portend.
Okay.
In Portend.
Okay. And I will tell the rest of the group exactly where the ship was destined for. It was traveling to Port End, Spaceport, Bay, whatever. That's lead that we have now as for where the ship went. And it does not say that there was any equipment or cargo loaded or unloaded, so.
It doesn't say that nothing, it doesn't confirm that nothing was unloaded either, it just says neutral on that. right?
Correct.
So Marcus Robertson, they might not load it here, and the ship is just going somewhere else. It's
Completely possible.
So maybe Marcus Robertson, we want to follow up on that.
Would be a good idea, seeing how, unless it is our only lead at the moment.
Unless are there cameras in the bay?
Yep.
So the only other thing that I would like to do is try to find a way for me to get to a computer terminal other than this one, so that I can hack into and extract video files from the bay at that time. I'll ask Jack. Where do you think I could go in the bay to do that?
You know where there's a security office?
Security office, Could we like splice into the feed wherever it needs to?
Maybe.
Good.
He's done it before.
Where to go to do it? I'd have to find a place to splice into the feed.
It's not the easiest. You know that it's not the easiest. It was already hard the first time you did it.
Yeah, but
You want to try
It's
to
doable.
You want to try to get a visual record of something?
yeah,
Of what?
of the ship coming
See if they
in.
brought
It's
Eddie off.
I've got to believe that there's got to be some sort of net on this spaceport that just normally shows incoming flights that are coming in. You know, like not even top secret or anything. People
Right.
can see with their naked eye. They can see
Yep.
planes landing.
There are feeds like public social media feeds of
Right.
the airport itself,
Right,
of the spaceport itself.
Exactly,
Sure.
exactly. That sort of
Could
thing.
can do it.
I, in theory, go from outside, hack through the internet to get to the intranet of the spaceport, and then go from that into the video files and extract that video?
Well, the first thing it's possible, yes, but it's your first bet would be to see if there's public access video.
Well, if I walk around the airport and I open my data pad, is there like spaceport
Well,
guest? Like Wi-Fi?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'm gonna connect.
I mean, it's not like you automatically connect.
Got it.
It's all over the city.
Got it. So presumably I should be able to, via that network protocol, access
Yeah.
other information
Sure.
that's traveling over that same network.
It's more about security than getting access.
Totally get it.
It's getting through security than finding the access, how you get access.
Okay. Do you want me to roll a
Sure.
hacking check?
Yep.
That's an 18 on the die for a 23.
Okay. And the first thing you see is the public feed, and you see a craft landing around the time that you were expecting it to,
Okay.
and it sits on the bay on the port for half an hour. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out, and then it leaves. Then when you hack in and you see the security feed, you see somebody go in.
Someone went in, but no one came out.
Correct.
Okay, so they took the camera feed and they clipped it and then they spliced it together, and so it
The
showed.
equivalent. Yeah.
It was just like a static image for half an hour, but that wasn't what actually happened. Someone doctored this feed, but now we have that. And then the other thing that I want to do is, like on an airplane, if you have like the tail wing number, that's
Yeah, there's a number associated.
okay. So if
The ship is
take-
called the Scorpion.
This ship is called the Scorpion.
Yeah, and it has a number.
And if I search that number in a spacecraft database, does it tell me who that ship is registered to?
Marcus Robertson.
Okay. So now we're fairly conclusively
Assuming this was the ship that took Eddie.
confident that this is the ship that took Eddie, that it is owned and operated by an individual by the name of Marcus Robertson, and someone went onto the ship. Can I zoom into the image and see who it was that went onto the ship?
It's not particularly clear, but you can see it was a human.
Okay, so it's kind of like it's too far away. I zoom in and it's
Yeah.
low resolution. Got it. That's only enhance.
Pan
Um,
right.
Okay, we can tell that it's a human of some, and then that ship departed for Porto.
Yes.
I tell the group the name Marcus Robertson. Would anyone, would Rafe, would Jack know anyone by that
I
name?
would.
Doesn't mean anything to them?
No.
Okay, cool. Okay, seems like that's our best lead, potentially.
So we need to find that fella and eventually get our ship repaired too. So we're while we're here, since we can all I guess pull out my personal computer and connect to the sim or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
A, is the cruiser
Are you working on the correct?
Yes.
Okay. B, yeah, Marcus Robertson. hits on this in public
We have
information,
Um,
news, etc.?
oddly, there's nothing that you find on Marcus Robertson.
Mike Robertson is not known to the public.
Could be an alias.
Yes, possible. Not my area of expertise.
So, Eddie was still on the ship?
Yeah, I think we should go to Port End.
We think so. Yeah, we'll just explain. Like, well, we think this is the ship that came from out there. It landed. Somebody got on it and left, and then nobody got off. And it went to Port End. Is it Portend or is it Port?
Portend.
End?
It's one word. Portend. Well,
How does it make Jake feel about it now? So.
now
I was confused. I feel great about myself.
to leave Mark, there's two ways: ship or the underground. There's no roads or highways into the city. The underground is a giant subway that runs all the way to Portend.
We could leave the ship here.
Take the hybrid.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so the underground is,
Underground bullet train.
where is it in relation to the old spaceport? Is it above the old spaceport?
No, it's off. It's not right under the spaceport here. It's side. It's
I
to the
see.
side of it, and it goes underground from there.
Gotcha.
So this is sort of like Penn Station. It's like everything comes into this area,
Yeah.
and everything. Right. It's a big hub.
So do we want to leave our ship here in the hidden dock and hope for the
Yeah, we
best?
kind of have to anyway. I can try to get the guy to start manufacturing parts.
You haven't been able to hold him. Or
Got
have you?
any messages back?
No. Nope.
You tried reaching him.
Yeah. No?
Well, we do not like the prospects of flying there in a airship.
We have nowhere to hide it there. We
No.
don't ride either.
No, we
Right. No, it's in the, right now, this is the best
Option.
yeah,
Yeah.
that we have at the moment.
Leave it here, hidden, hopefully, safely. We get a ship or a train to Port End.
We vote for the tunnel.
And then look for that ship, the Scorpion,
Yes.
and maybe Marcus Robertson. Okay, that's good. Sounds like a
I
plan.
think it's best leave that we
Go
have.
buy that train ticket.
Yep.
Okay. You go get tickets. No big deal. And the trains are leaving all the time, so you have to wait no longer than an hour to catch a train. An hour would be a long wait. So you get there, you get on the train, and it's interesting. I mean, it's underground, but all the windows are showing beautiful scenery outside that looks like nature and beautiful Earth-like. It's all fake, but looks pretty. It makes you feel like you're not in the tube underground, deep underground,
Yeah.
running the length of a quarter of the planet away. And you ride. Nothing
How far is
happens.
Portland from
Well, Mark is pretty far south,
I see.
and it's further east than Portend. Portend is north and west. It's north-northwest, and it's right along the equator. So you're halfway to the pole.
Via space hyper train, how long would it take?
It takes a couple of hours total, 2 hours maybe.
That's fast.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Is it a
It's a
mag?
yeah, it's
mag
mag.
train?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, buddy.
Well, I will take my short rest then.
you can then. Damn, you found a way to get some points back.
Alright.
So when suspicious of his past pulled out.
Do you get to
Common sense, like
service?
Background. Yeah. So I get to take heal up and read and repair my body.
Yeah, you can all take a short rest.
Yeah.
You need it.
Leader's room.
Go ahead, it costs a little money to do that.
Please, do not engage in heavy machinery usage while on the tunnel.
The drone is back up.
And you get to Portend.
Whilst we are like traveling on the train, I try on my data pad to send a command to the ship to see to get a status report.
No activity.
I was more testing to see the proximity limitations on. Because then I'm moving.
Through the sim.
To where it should stable.
Yeah, it's through the sim, so
Yeah.
ostensibly I can connect to it anywhere in the system.
And you arrive at Portend, and when you get out, it is just a mass of people all getting out of trains, getting on trains, going to the spaceport. It's just huge numbers of people. The train was full of people too. You didn't have a nice line. There was room to sit. There was enough room for everyone to sit, but it was definitely, the seats are small and they're tight. There's a lot of people going and coming and going from there. And when you get out, there's all these signs for different places to go to get to, pick up your luggage, shopping, dining, spaceport, city exit.
Go to that. You found out where it's right?
Yep. I know exactly what gate it was, or what port bay or whatever it is that the ship is supposed to go to. So I will communicate that to the group, and we will try to find our way there. I guess maybe we walk up to a terminal and pull up a map of the
all these.
spaceport,
Yep.
and then we can try and locate that bay. And
Yeah, you're not near it. It's one of the further ones out.
At least we have like a little dot. You are here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Check it in and get
Sure.
the navigation. Go left.
Yep.
Map the route.
And you map your route.
Go left.
And you start heading out that way. And the city of Portland is not as pretty, and it doesn't have the pleasantries that Mark has. Mark is built around a lot of wealth, because it's a political city. It's like Washington. There's a lot of beautiful things in Mark. Portland is not like that. Portland is more like Caracas. There's a lot less beauty here. There's a lot more people here. The wealth is concentrated more. The spaceport and the port is probably the nicest part of the whole city, and it's maintained well because it needs to. It's important to not only the city but the planet. But as you start heading out, you can see the further you go from the center hub of the spaceport, the less pleasant even the spaceport becomes. It gets more run down. There's a lot of buildings that are less well maintained. Things start to get rusted, and there's some sand that's piled up on the sides of things, and it's sort of like walking through a city knowing you're walking into the bad neighborhood, whatever that bad neighborhood is. That the economic level is lower, and there's people are eyeing you as you're heading out that way.
I think that we can be somewhat sure that we're not heading into a friendly situation. Keep your wits about it.
Of course, always.
I'm saying this to you more for my safety than for yours.
And
Wouldn't mind.
Keep your wits
And
about it.
Aladir, make a perception check.
Who?
Aladir.
Ooh, that's no bueno. That is a 7.
Okay. And you continue out that way. And as you get out there, you see that a lot of the port or the bays are really just flat pieces of land with maybe tubes for things like life support gases and things like that, but they're just dirt, a lot of them. They're between buildings that are built there for things like maintenance or repairs or what have you. And you get out near where you think is the where it was supposed to be, and it looks kind of like a dirt field, and there's no ship there. And there are a couple maintenance robots that are working on parts. A couple people are there. Nothing, not the ship you were expecting.
Are they actually maintenance robots? Or are they battle droids disguised as maintenance robots?
No way to find out.
Well, pick one and figure it out.
Well, I guess we walk up to the people, yeah.
You walk up to a person.
How many crew are there?
Well, there's a couple people working out here.
Right. I mean,
But-
they're maintenance crew.
Yeah, maintenance people, things
How
like
many
that.
people are there? So-
2 or 3.
I see. And is this the ship that you saw?
No.
There's no ship here.
No ship.
So I'm saying the ship is not here.
This is the
bay.
bay.
The bay.
However,
Yes.
I mean, this is the bay. This is the correct bay.
Yes. As far as we know.
Yep.
Any of the buildings nearby?
Yeah, there's a lot of little buildings, little hovels all over the place. Little business offices and offices that, try and find cargo to carry and things like that.
We're looking for Marcus Robertson.
Oh, you missed him hours ago.
Where was he heading?
I don't know. I did maintenance work. You missed him.
Oh.
He was in a hurry apparently.
Did he leave on the vessel or did he disembark?
Well, the vessel's gone.
Yeah.
I assume that he left on the ship.
You saw him leave. You said.
Yeah, I saw the ship leave. Yeah.
Gotcha. Was he by himself?
Yeah, we were
Well,
hoping to meet our friend.
I don't know. I mean, he came out for a little bit and he went back in. I didn't see anybody else, but he may have gone to see someone. He often does.
So this is his regular bay.
This is his bay.
Did your hack determine he owns the ship, or
Yes. Well, as far as we can tell, the ship is registered to him. Whatever the implications of
did
that
it say
are,
if he was? Did he say that he was local?
It actually said nothing else about him. He even thought to look that up, and it was like a blank slate almost.
And then as it goes.
Yeah, it was literally just like ship registered to ship, and it was like tail number, ship name, owner. That
That's
was
it.
it.
Yeah.
And it was like Marcus Robertson.
Which is fairly common with smugglers, pirates,
Right.
and people who kind of live on the fringe of all this whole thing. Unless there's something that draws attention to them, it's really not an issue generally. When that is drawn to them, then sometimes there's legal repercussions or they get arrested sometimes so that they can get their paperwork in order or something. But it never goes very far. I mean, you're kind of in a backwater planet. It's not, the bureaucracy is not like it is here yet. Although you do know that the only way you can have no record is if you change it through the dark sim.
You'd have to pay someone
Yeah.
to wipe your signature
Yeah.
and use an alias.
Correct.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
To completely wipe out any signature of who you are. Which is very strange, which is what we're running up against.
So as a mechanic, I guess you don't know where his place is, do you? Where he stays?
He stays on the ship.
So I'll go up to the computer and see, and do basically what I did in Mark and try and figure out where the ship went to, if he logged it or if he didn't log
There's
it.
no log here.
Nothing.
Reach a dead end.
A most perplexing puzzle indeed.
Well,
How about the scorpion? Look at that.
Yeah, does it have a transponder?
Of course.
Maybe we can try to track that currently. Where it is.
Or see if it's registered. Maybe we don't know his name, but where the ship is registered.
Yeah.
that's fair.
And while you're doing that, Tuss says, "Hold on, I'm getting a call from Eddie."
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at his watch, and there's a visual of a robot holding Eddie up, and he goes, I think this person knows you. He said your name.
Who is saying that?
The robot.
The robot is saying.
Yeah. And the robot, he looks like an older robot. He's wearing a jacket, which is kind of goofy. Got some holes that stick up from antennas and stuff. You should come and get him. He doesn't look like he's in good health.
Where are you?
We're in Port End.
Can you send us your coordinates?
Yeah, he does. He sends them to Tusk.
Now, quick sidebar.
And Eddie's like,
What's up with Eddie? Does he look like he's...
I don't know. He's acting really weird. He doesn't look well.
Okay, we'll be there straight away. So what's up with these robots? What's up? I mean...
Well, there are robots that are citizens.
Okay.
So they are taking. Well,
Some. Not all of them.
the ones that are citizens. Or are the
Some are, some
So
aren't.
you picked a maintenance robot? That was a person.
That's it.
It depends on if they have an actual AI or they just have, tasks that they're given and they.
The difference between a protocol droid and a gunk droid, so to speak, for the
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Well, let's go.
How far away are the coordinates?
Do we need to get
On the other side of the city.
Oh,
Back on the subway.
fantastic.
That's not. You can take the subway. Sure, it's not hard. Yeah.
Oh, space Uber.
It's the same city though. It's not leaving the city.
We'll pick us up.
You get across town. It's a really bad area. There's like it's hovels built on hovels. You can tell it's very poor. And there's these sand whipped areas where the sand is halfway up homes and stuff. They don't have the mechanism to keep the sand from piling up and stuff. And you get to the coordinate and you see this Eddie is sitting against a sand pile, and the robot is sitting there, and the robot recognizes Tusk from the call. Says, over here, and you see Tusk start heading over, and you guys start heading over, and I'm glad he had some someone to call in his emergency on his communicator. I don't know what happened, but he said Tusk
Where did you find it?
right here.
Is the robot speaking common? Like
Yeah.
common? Like
Yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
everyday human syntax?
Yes,
Who are you?
I'm Johnny.
Johnny.
How's Eddie look? I'm gonna take a photo.
Eddie, it looks like he's drugged out. Like his eyes don't look right. He looks fucked up.
Maybe they drug him and try to get info. Treat serum or something.
Johnny, who was your creator?
What do you mean creator? God?
We have a saying on Nebuchadnezzar. You know what happens when you assume. You.
What? I've never heard of the saying.
I'll explain it. Requires
Uh,
background.
You're
Sorry, I didn't realize that humans were so scared of little dogs, but he's really scared of dogs. I gotta tell you that.
Dogs.
Yeah, some dog chased him into the pile of sand, and he buried himself halfway till the dog left.
Oh.
It was weird. Yeah.
Does Eddie have any obvious injuries, broken fingers, anything like that?
Make me a perception check.
Fair enough. Signs of enhanced interrogation. 15.
No broken bones. Looks like there's a healed up scar on his neck.
Searching, checking Eddie, who established that he threw fingers.
Nothing broken.
There is some sort of healed scar on the back of his neck. Can you two search him?
And it's a circle.
Can you two search him for any RFID tags or the like?
Chipped.
Yeah. It looks like some sort of injection. Yeah, sure. Scanner. Scan.
Yeah, no chips. Nothing like that.
Kel turns to Tusk.
like that.
I don't suppose he was frightened of dogs prior to this.
No.
No.
What did you
He was scared of dogs before.
Oh.
He's not scared of a dog. especially a little dog.
What would they give the dogs?
Those tiny dogs have something to prove.
Usually nice trump. But I know where you're coming from. I'm thinking along the same lines.
Fierce hero.
What's John doing while we're examining?
Hanging with you guys. I hope he's going to be okay. I mean, I'm glad somebody came to get him.
Well, thank you for your help. What did you, do you?
I mean,
do you live here?
Yeah, I live right there. There's a hovel. Yeah.
What make and model of a droid is Johnny?
Is that what we would call it, a droid?
Yeah, you could call it a droid.
Droid, automata.
What do you mean, make and model? I'm Johnny.
No, I'm not asking.
You don't know. You have no idea. There's millions of robot. Or
So you don't know. We don't know.
there might be billions of robot
Yeah, but
types.
the only reason I'm not asking is one of my abilities is I always know the make and model of any computer system that I see.
Does it require a roll or it's just automatic?
Automatic. Like I
All
want.
right, you would. Okay, I'll give it to you.
What if it was created by?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, what if he's a granny droid? You know what I'm saying? Like put together by somebody's grandma.
Well, most droids are like that. Most droids are specific, made individual. They're not. There's mass market parts, but then a lot of the things are just added to do whatever things they need to be done. And once an AI is added, they'll change themselves, and all kinds of crazy things happen.
So you might be able to recognize
Like this is the work of this particular,
where he's got this
whatever,
part.
this engineer who puts this together.
Yeah, I mean, I was coming out this morning. It was really early, and when I saw the dog chasing, I chased the dog off.
About what time is this?
Oh, it must have been 7:13 and 47 seconds in the morning.
And does that correspond with when the ship, or does that match up?
Sounds maybe an hour or two later, a couple hours later, maybe.
So,
Yeah.
so if it was before that ship, that would have been clear.
Yeah.
No other time. I know the make and model.
So Eddie got deposited an hour or two after our ship landed.
So they took on a specialist, probably, back there at Mark. Worked on him and then dropped him off.
Totally reasonable.
So we got Eddie back. Mission accomplished.
Look, toss is happy. Boom, boom, boom.
What's wrong with him? Why is he acting like that?
Come on, man.
Hopefully he's just drugged.
We need to get him to a hospital or something.
Yeah, back to the med bay. Get back in the train. It's other side of
They
town.
might have interrogated him, and that's why he's left off like this.
Maybe.
And we're hoping hopefully that's all it is.
Now I'm trying to think, like, well, what did we say in front of Eddie?
Yeah, not a bunch. Does he respond at all now? Like, Eddie, are you in there?
I'm Eddie.
Yeah.
You are. How you
I
feeling,
am Eddie. I have a really bad headache.
Let's take you to the
Like
doctor.
I don't even think I've had a headache this bad before.
Oh, okay.
Come with us, Eddie. We are
And I'm
taking
really
you home.
sore, and he's sweating a lot, by the way.
Oh,
Like
okay.
nasty sweating.
Yes, I do.
Johnny found me though. He chased off the dog.
He's nice.
And what's up with the dogs? You don't like dogs, huh?
I like dog. Wait, no, I don't like dogs. I used to like dogs.
I'm going to ask Johnny, was there a dog?
Yeah, there was a little dog that chased him into the sand pile,
We
and he hid in the sand pile until the dog left, or until I chased the dog away.
I am hardcore inspecting Johnny. He's super cool. I love machines.
We
I'm
think
very interested in his AI.
You know, Kelvin is going to cast use the Esper Sense talent technique. And this is any Esper abilities happening. Does he get something, like an effect on him, on our man Eddie here? It would have to be an active effect. I wouldn't really tell something that was done on him in the past.
Nope.
we think Eddie has been worked over quite thoroughly.
Okay, well, that just means nobody's currently listening and using Esper powers or something like that. Alright, well, let's take him to the doc. Maybe get him healed up, and when he's a little more sane, we can ask
That's what
him
Johnny
happened.
looks like.
Oh,
That's Johnny.
That's cool.
Johnny. So that's what that was.
Yes.
You know, I want
Good
Johnny.
reveal.
I want Johnny to be my
I
friend
haven't
now.
been following you on Instagram. I guess I need to know. Will I really give away any secrets?
No.
I want to be Johnny's friend.
Everybody's trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's go to the med
Man,
bay.
man.
I give Johnny my contact information.
I mean, I can help you get him to med bay.
Yeah, let's do that.
There's one around the corner.
Let's do that. Even better.
Oh, they should.
And he walks you over and he brings you in, and there's like a machine shop.
Oh, Johnny.
Any,
Here you go. Can you help this guy out?
or
Johnny, no, I can't help that guy out.
Johnny, I think we require a wet doc.
Oh, yeah, he won't work. Well, you could replace parts.
We can, but we do not think that Eddie or Tusk wishes to replace his.
We need to go to a hospital, Johnny.
What he said.
Oh, yeah, there's one down there. Like several miles down there.
Get him to
do
it.
they have those electric scooters that we can like take our phone out and go?
Not here.
Oh darn. They're great for traveling that last 20 miles.
We will take him to the hospital.
Okay. You get to the hospital and they check him in. And they say that he is not drugged, but he's concussed, and they say that he's had some kind of a spinal injury.
What did they say about an S? Did they say there was an injection? Somebody had put an injection.
And they say that's not an injection slot. That was a DNI slot. Did somebody pull out his DNI or something?
Did he have a DNI?
I was like, he didn't have a DNI.
Somebody installed and then uninstalled the DNI so they could direct access his brain. They hacked his brain.
Ooh, that sounds cool. Oh, never mind. That doesn't sound cool. Sorry, guys.
That sounds bad.
It does.
Note to self: get a DNI port installed.
All right. Well, that could be bad. Maybe Eddie should stay at the hospital for a while.
Maybe they took him down very often.
Or upload something.
Like
He's-
Kung Fu.
Or like he's like, Manchurian candidate. They're gonna call him on the phone and tell him to play solitaire, and then he's gonna
Banana phone.
A little while later, the doctor comes in. He says he's starting to like wake up and come out of whatever was happening. He's healing up pretty well. If you want to go see him, and tell us like barges past you guys to go see him. Hey, Dad. Huh?
We did right by Tusk.
Yeah.
That's
You know.
very
That's good enough.
And Eddie's like, I'm sorry about what happened, Dad. I don't know what happened, but there were some people that I was talking to, and I just want to like come clean about it. I was trying to make plans for the future. I don't want to be riding a K-Led for the rest of my life. And I thought like they were going to pay us really well and
To do what?
for the ship.
Boom, called it.
Was it Corellian's people?
No, it was some other ship owner, Marcus Robertson. He was
Double boom.
he was
Double
working.
boom. Actually, I'm like in the back.
But I thought I was just gonna let you guys meet, so that you could, so you could work out a deal. I didn't think it would turn into this. Oh, my head hurts so much.
Do you remember what happened after they took you? They took you, right?
I mean, I remember some things. I remember seeing somebody looking over me when I couldn't really move. I don't know if I was drugged or I don't know. I couldn't move. Like my muscles, I couldn't make them do anything. And then like I got this pain in my head that was like nothing I've ever felt. And then for a moment, like I saw myself from above myself. I don't know, is that... They say that happens when you die or something, but I don't know. You know, like, it's like I was floating over my own body and seeing myself. It was chilling. And then I remember having really weird dreams. Like I saw a bunch of sheep, and I was like petting these lambs and sheep. Well, no, I wasn't petting them. I was looking at them. I wanted to pet them, but I couldn't control my arms. I couldn't pet them.
Did they take his consciousness and put it into another repository and take his...
Is such a thing possible?
I felt like I was like lifted right out of my body and stared down at myself. And then I was like dreaming about all these sheep and stuff. It was like the weirdest thing.
It's almost like he's dreaming of electric sheep.
We don't get it.
So, alright.
Like I was, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin has no idea what's going on.
It's almost like they employed some sort of neuromancer. No, I'm just dropping all these. I'm gonna cut my losses. No more, like Gibson. I'm stopping.
You got it.
Cut my losses.
Alright, so this is like nothing. Are we familiar with technology that can do like mind transfer or something like that? Is that a thing in this universe?
You've heard about it. You know, it's possible, maybe, but it's never happened here.
It doesn't sound like it happened to you, did it, Jack, when you froze up?
If anything, you might find that in like Silrain Prime or something like that, where there's not out here in the middle of nowhere.
So how did you get a hold of this Marcus guy in the first place?
How did you believe?
I've been talking to him in the past, but only as like friends. And then when this thing happened, I talked to him
As friend, how did you become friends? Where did you meet?
on other scraps. He bought scraps in the past, but then this happened, and I started talking to him. He said he could get me someone who would buy it that would pay big money, the kind where we could retire.
To understand, we don't know that this ship. Nobody knows that the ship was going to be here, right?
Correct. Right. This happened after the ship. He knew him from the past as a buyer.
And then they contacted the guy.
So he contacted him just because here's
There's something here that could be, yes.
And then you turned out not to be as friendly as...
Yeah.
Marcus guy. Do you know who Marcus's contact was? His buyer?
No. He said he could hook up Tustin, make a contact.
So it's a coincidence that it was this particular ship, possibly the singular most important ship, that this was the one that he got tied up with this character.
No, he knew him from the past.
No, I get that. I
Yeah.
understand. I'm
Yeah,
saying so this particular ship falls out of the sky.
Yeah, all this happened very quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, this is also probably the first ship anybody's ever encountered that's super lucrative.
Right, and again, it just so happens that it's the Roswell ship that is the one that
Right.
contacts them. That's what I'm saying. That as opposed to a piece of junk,
Right.
any kind of quotidian junk that might have just fallen out of the thing, it happens to be the most special ship, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's either a coincidence, and maybe this is a coincidence, or
This guy knew that ship
Right.
at some point.
Exactly.
Or maybe Marcus Roberts just contacted his local buyer person, and the buyer knew. Like the buyer's like, oh, powerful people have been looking for that ship. You know what I mean? Like there's maybe people in the government that wanted this.
I mean, again, this all happened very, very quickly.
Very.
Or looking for it, or maybe expecting it. Maybe somebody was expecting it.
Because I arranged for Miss Dubois, perhaps.
Didn't we get the impression that the military operation took him, must have gotten out there, like, surprisingly quickly?
Yeah.
And knew about our firefight, so whether they were directly connected or they connected to her stuff.
So, on that note, Eddie, how exactly were you making contact with?
I was doing it through the sim. I have a friend of mine who gave me a better line than the one I had that was more encrypted and protected. I'd buy, stuff through there.
Can you share that line with us?
So, yeah, he gives you his communicator.
Is it like clean?
It's not.
And the DNI, and the DNI port that he had? He has a DNI port, right?
He has a healed
He has a scar.
scar.
And he didn't have one before.
It's almost like someone implanted a DNI port.
In this short window of time since he disappeared,
Yeah.
and since now.
Yeah. Implanted it, used it, and then removed it.
Right.
So maybe we should call Marcus Robertson.
I guess.
Should we? He
Yep.
has nothing we want. Don't do that. Why?
Yeah,
He
that's
doesn't
the
have
point.
anything we
He
want.
wants what we have. I assume the ship. That's the point. He might call us.
Well, right, we don't necessarily, what do we want from him? I mean, unless we want to just capture him and punish him, there's not very much we can do about it. Right now, we don't have any proof.
Well,
And we don't want him to know where we don't want him to have a line on us, because if he has a line on us, then he has a line
It
on
might
the
be
ship.
nice if we could figure out who his powerful
Well,
backer is.
sure, but I'm saying, but we could do that anyway, we don't
Yeah.
have to call him.
You gotta call him directly on the
the
phone.
impetus of time is no longer necessary. We have found Eddie, and we can make a move at our leisure rather than
Fair.
when we need to.
Make some more inquiries.
What we should do is, I mean, since this guy's off the grid, but the ship isn't, so if we could find out maybe what we should do is somehow get access to his ship, because that seems to be where all these things are taking place.
And I mean, maybe what we want to do now is just because we've got 2 tasks going on. We've got find Eddie and then deal with what this Marcus Robertson thing is, and then we want to get the ship moved.
Found Eddie.
So maybe we want to switch to getting parts for the ship, get the ship repaired, and then kind of back burner Marcus Robertson until we get more info.
Yeah, I like that.
It's entirely possible that once we start poking around in the shadow net and trying to get this fixed in a clandestine fashion, that Marcus might pick up on that, and he might reach out to us or confront us about it.
Well, he's gonna do that anyway.
Yeah, and who knows, Corellian might make another move. Now that we took her find and flew it away.
I think our best bet is to make sure Eddie's okay, make sure Tusk and Eddie are fine, and go and deal with getting the ship fixed.
And finding out who this Marcus Robertson is, and because he's already coming for us. I mean, he's not gonna wait for us to come for him to be reminded that we exist, or that the ship exists.
Yeah, he knows you exist.
Right, and that the ship exists. So
How does Tusk feel about our continued relationship, so to speak? Because this ship is technically his, isn't it?
I want to unload this thing.
All the cargo.
I want to get paid,
Yeah.
and I want to be done with the thing.
you're paid in your child's life.
How much is that?
How much is your son worth to you?
Yeah. Was
Right.
the Ink Foundation was looking
That
to
seems
start
to be-
having some cash though?
Hey, I'm chaotic.
Fair enough.
Chaotic goodish.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is,
Chaotic master.
I agree, Tusk. This is pretty dangerous. How much are you looking to make off of this? What would make you happy?
Retirement.
The Ink Foundation board. Fine.
I don't know that they want the ship. I don't know. I know that they're interested in it.
I just was wondering. I'd like to have us retain access to the ship. Because for Kelrin, that's like got all these mysteries and puzzles and scientific knowledge in there. That's what he thinks is most valuable right now.
Obviously.
So we want to hang on to that, but we can't assume that Tusk is just going to be like, here, have this ship. Right? So we need to arrange for him to get paid.
Mhm.
We need to arrange for it to get fixed.
Yes.
And then, of course, Corellian and Marcus Roberts will come looking for it too.
I'm very intrigued by the AI of the ship, and I really want to figure that out. Because that AI is sassy.
So can you like reach out to contacts and find out whether they can pay Tusk or if they know who Marcus Robinson is? Or?
How do I? So, who's Corellian Dubois precisely?
Well, she's the daughter of. Her parents are big in politics. Corellian is not in politics. She's a business owner. But her father, is the head of the Council of Cores. He's the leader, the speaker of the Council of Cores, which is like our Congress. And he's got the biggest voice in the council. So he is as politically connected as it gets without it being the president.
She's the daughter of Mitch McConnell.
So, do we have
Ew.
any reason to believe that? Do I have any reason to believe that that Odyssey is going to buy this ship, or would buy this vessel?
You don't know. You're not sure about his interests. You know there was interests.
Right.
The depth of that interest and the reasons for it are still, a mystery.
Is he important? Is he important, or
No, he's in Mark.
he's a mark?
If someone were to want to retire, how much? Like I just want to know an order of magnitude scale of how much are we talking here? Is that like
How nice is your retirement?
yeah?
Well, for a scrapper, the retirement is very different than the owner of, Spacebook.
But what order of magnitude are we talking? Like 50,000, 500,000?
More than I have.
Yeah.
You don't even think he's put a number to it. He just knows there's a number that would be good, would get him.
Tusk or the Cube, what do you say?
Right.
I'm gonna fire off a message to Odyssey and let him know that we have the package in hand, that we've secured all of the as much of the as many what else we're looking for. We tied up loose ends, and we want to know what you want us to do with the package. Is it something that you want, or is it something that we should look for someone else that might be more interested in it?
And you get a reply, is it safe?
It's secure right now.
Then we should talk in person.
Time and place.
And he gives you a coordinate, which you know is in Mark, and this is where we'll break.
Cool.
We're gonna